5. Call the meeting to order, please.
Commissioner Burling?
Here.
Commissioner Mickey?
Here.
Commissioner Jerry?
Here.
Thank you.
Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we go to the announcements, public appearances under the Brown Act, public comment for matters on agenda items must relate to that agenda item, and public comments for matters not on the agenda must relate to the subject matter jurisdiction of this legislative body. Hateful, violent, and threatening speech is impermissible public comment as it disrupts the conduct of the public meeting. This is a warning that if a member of the public attending this meeting remotely violates the Brown Act by failing to comply with these requirements of the Brown Act meeting, then the speaker will be muted. Members of the public are entitled to speak on matters of municipal concern, not on the agenda during public appearances. Each person's comments shall be limited to 3 minutes or as otherwise established by the Commission. Matters not appearing on the Commission's agenda will not receive action at this meeting, but may be referred to staff for a future meeting. Persons are not required to give their names, but it is helpful for speakers to state their name so they may be identified in the meeting minutes. We're going to start today with extraordinary business.
Well, no, it's public appearances, I guess, because you just read
to
it.
switch. Okay. I beg
So
your
now you
pardon.
open up for public appearances.
Okay. We'd like to open up for any public appearance or comment not on the agenda.
There's a hand online.
Would anybody like to come up for a public appearance? Okay. Okay, we'll go ahead.
Online. Mayor Burr.
Oh, Dale?
Dale, go ahead.
Yes. Good afternoon. I'd just like to thank you all for your service. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Dale.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Just a second. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Did you hear anything I said so far?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to thank Hans for his time on the commission, and I'm looking forward to working with him on the council now. So, as you know, I've always been very interested in this commission. It's my favorite one. So lots of good things are going to be happening. And as you know, you're short a commissioner, so we're going to be advertising very soon, as hopefully maybe this week even, for new commissioners. So anybody in the public that's going to be interested in being on the Forest and Beach Commission, please put your name, and we hope to be making a decision early in January as to the next commissioners, so you'll have a full slate of commissioners. Thank you very much.
Dale, I thought that there was a need to wait a couple months for some reason. I'm not sure what it was.
I believe it's
That's not my understanding.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, let's just put it this way. We have to get enough people to apply, but we're hoping to do that as soon as possible. Let's just leave it at that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else online or in the hall that would like to make a comment?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now announcements. You have to say now announcements.
Oh,
Please.
excuse me, now announcements. Robert,
Okay,
take it away.
thank you, Your Highness, Excellency. Just a couple of quick announcements. Mayor Byrne already made the comment about former Commissioner Hans Buter's been sworn in as a council member this Monday. City Hall and the city as a whole will generally be closed from Christmas Eve, December 24th, and reopen January the 2nd. Obviously, public safety will still be up and running. Public Works will still have a skeleton crew, will be available and address any storms that we may have during that time. So rest assured, we're here to protect the village, but we'll have skeleton crews between Christmas and New Year's. My last comment is that this is my last Forest and Beach Commission meeting. I'm retiring a week from Monday. I've been on the commission, not as a commissioner, as a helper-outer, for 7.5 years. I really enjoyed it. I thought we had a real variety pack of commissioners, past and present, and I'm sure future. I was really impressed with all the commissioners' passion to do the right thing, from all kinds of different backgrounds, lots of different questions, some tough questions for staff, but the bottom line, it was, I believe we all did it in a lighthearted spirit, made it fun. In my opinion, it's the most fun commission that the city has, and it was really done well and with passion and to do the right thing. So that's my announcements.
Okay. We're going to move on to consent agenda items. Oh, you're going into that, excuse me. Okay.
You want to read the title?
We're back to Bob. Bob is going to be giving us his key accomplishments over the past 7 years.
There we go. Thank you, Chairwoman Mickey and members of the commission. So this is my Public Works report and infrastructure report card. It's my farewell address to the community as a whole. It's essentially the same presentation I gave to the City Council on December the 3rd. So if you saw that one, you might want us to take a nap, but pretty much repeat it, but this a little bit more focus for Forest and Beach Commission. And before I go on, I wanted to thank the people in the back rows. Those are the people, men and women of Public Works, that have been working their butts off for 7.5 years making this village happen. So I thank you. All right, I'm going to go through the slides as fast as I can, but it's all going to take about a half an hour. These slides are available on the city website, so I'm not going to read every bullet because we'll be here all night. So if you want to go into more detailed information, it's available on the website. We have 4 objectives, 3 of which are shown. Wanted to review the department structure, the resources we have, and the services that we provide. Also review the significant, as well as be on the lookout for the range of accomplishments we've done. Very diverse over the past 7 years. Talk about the infrastructure report card. Well, I'll be comparing infrastructure from hardscape to landscape, from the 2017 baseline year when I first did the infrastructure report card to the current year. And this is also an opportunity to celebrate the achievements of Public Works, current employees, past employees, and all that we've done collectively as a team over the past 7 years. Speaking of team, here's our team. Here's 17 of the 25 of us, I guess. That's our new dump truck that we recently purchased, so we're pretty happy about that. We tried to cover the top people with the tarp. As soon as we realized that Rob was about to, what's the word? Decapitate some of the people up there, so we decided not to do that one. Over on the, thank you, Tom.
Bob, could I interrupt you just a second? Is that seat open where you've got the umbrella?
My wife is coming.
Oh, where's, oh, okay.
Okay, and on the right is our team mascot. That's Bruce Lee. That's Cleve Waters' dog. Here's the organization of Public Works. The director and the administrative unit is essentially a unit that oversees 5 operating divisions. So we have the environmental programs, facility maintenance, forestry, parks, and beach. That's the one that you know most about as a commission, but there's other, you'll see that other divisions all support forestry and beach and all that. We have project management and streets. Over the next several slides, we're going to be talking about what each of those 5 divisions normally do and the accomplishments of each. And going back in time, 7 fiscal years ago, the operating budget for Public Works was $3.3 million. This current fiscal year, it jumped up to $6.5 million. So we thank the City Council and the city as a whole for providing us the resources we need. We're not there yet. We need more help and support, but we're certainly made a lot of progress over 7 years. The capital improvement project budget went from $4 million that first year to $12.18 million this current year. And our positions went up a little bit. We had 21 positions 7 years ago, 5 were vacant. And this year we have 25 positions, and 5 are vacant today, and there'll be a 6th one when somebody leaves here in a week and a half. Public Works Administration Unit, basically these are normal tasks. We prepare the 5-year capital improvement plan. We do budgeting and financial processing, prepare council reports and make presentations. As you know, I'm the helper outer on the Forest and Beach Commission. I served on the Transportation Agency of Monterey County TAC Committee and on the Traffic Safety Committee over the years. The accomplishments for administration over these years, and I'm just going to basically read the items that are in bold. The city engineer duties were returned in-house. They were contracted out for many, many years. I think it rightfully belongs in-house. Council strategic priorities were updated over the years. This was presented in the past to the commission, or some of the parts were like wildfire prevention, the Carmel Forest Master Plan, undergrounding utilities. So those are some of the council strategic priorities. Oversaw legacy projects from Leadership Carmel. If you remember, a couple years ago, we had the Forest Hill Park Nature Play project, which was really a home run. And last year was Scenic and 8th Avenue Overlook. And the year 2025 Leadership Carmel class is now looking into making the next legacy project. A few years back, we did an agreement with PAC Rep on the Forest Theater lease. We implemented a mass production approach to streamline the consultant selection process. And when I first got here, I completely revised the standard templates of a construction contract and professional services agreement. Environmental programs. When I started, we had a team of 1. We're up to a team of 2. So Mary doubled her team. Some of their typical tasks is overseeing the coastal engineering study, serve on the regional stormwater management program and the REGEN, that's trash and recycling committees, oversee projects in sensitive habitat areas like North Dunes and Mission Trail Nature Preserve. You'll hear more about Mission Trail hopefully this evening. Stormwater quality annual reports to the Water Quality Control Board. These are the most tedious reports I've ever seen in my 42-year career. And waste and recycling projects. These are their normal duties. Some of the key accomplishments in the environmental group over the last 7 years. The Climate Action Plan and Climate Adaptation Plans were prepared and adopted by Council in 2022. The Coastal Engineering Study Phase 1, all of the parts of which was presented to the Forest and Beach Commission over the last couple of years, is done. Phase 2 is well underway. We got a $500,000 Coastal Commission grant for that. Most, not all, but most of the small trash-only squirrel cans were replaced with dual trash and recycling cans. Earth Day was established. A bunch of years ago, we were the first agency in the region to implement a no plastics ordinance. So again, a variety pack of different accomplishments from just that division alone. Facility maintenance, when I first got here, we had a team of 1. And I asked Cleve, where's your helpers on one of my first days? And he says, what are you talking about? And we quickly got all the way up to 2, which is a far cry from what we need, but we're on the right track. These gentlemen maintain 20 buildings with 137,000 square feet. They coordinate repairs with a multitude of building trade contractors and vendors. They oversee the janitorial services contract, and they support our capital improvement projects that are building oriented. That's their day job. Some of their accomplishments, over the years, they replaced over 1,000 lights with LEDs. We prepared the ADA transition plan 2018, and since then, 7 years, we're working on year 7 of our ADA upgrade projects. Electrical panels have been assessed in a number of buildings, And last, it was a Friday night when we turned on the tree lighting, no one got electrocuted this year. And all the many prior years was by luck. Janitorial contract was completely revamped, rebid, and we have a computerized inspection program, so much improved. The commission knows about a number of park restroom improvements, from doors to skylights and painting and those types of things. Forestry, parks, and beach. I'll drill down a little bit more there. We have a city forester, a vacant assistant forester, a temporary permit technician, a tree climber, a gardener, and we have one of 2 maintenance workers. We have one that's in recruitment. They maintain 12,000 trees, plant, water, prune, remove, do stump grinding, obviously helping out on the Carmel Forest Master Plan development, collaborating with the volunteer groups. This is something that's definitely grown over the past 7 years. It's Carmel Cares, Friends of Carmel Forest, Friends of Mission Trail Nature Preserve, the Garden Club, coordinate with PG&E on safety pruning of trees, emergency response in the storms, reports and presentations to the Forest and Beach Commission, fuel reduction, issuing permits for tree removals and pruning. They manage 3 tree contractors and 1 landscape maintenance contractors, do site assessments and the process private development applications, and prune for traffic safety. That's something you don't think about, but stop signs get hidden by tree branches and things. So we've got to go out there and trim those. Some key accomplishments over the years. As part of the Carmel Forest Master Plan, the tree inventory was completed, so we have a condition assessment of all 12,000 trees, as well as all of them are in tree keepers, so we have a geolocated location of every single tree. So we're much better to maintain it rather than a whole lot of paper that we had 7 years ago. The Community Wildfire Prevention Plan that was really overseen by the fire department but supported by forestry, that was approved. Our crew capabilities increased. 7 years ago, my opinion, we could cut down small dead trees or even maybe here and there a mid-sized tree. Now it's routine that we could remove mid to even large tree removals and stumps. That's a major improvement over the years. In 2022, we did mass tree pruning downtown. I'll leave this one for Scott and Greg coming up, but significant invasives removal in Mission Trail over the years. We've implemented multiple on-call tree service contractors and revamped the on-call task order processing. I don't know, 2 or 3 foresters ago, it would be like, here's a task order, remove 1 tree or remove 2 trees. Now it's remove 40 trees. We bought the city's, I believe, and Greg can correct me if I'm wrong, but the city's first stump grinder. And the tree fees were modified over the last couple of years, so we're trying to make it more user-friendly. We have a fee just to do an evaluation only, rather than a complete removal permit. And if the tree is determined to be dead, then any further fees are waived. So more user-friendly. Project management. We have 1 project manager, 1's vacant. We're really trying hard to fill that one. It's supplemented by 3 program management consultants. So these are the folks that do our capital improvement projects, engineering, architectural design, bidding, construction management services, and I'll skip ahead, mostly transportation, drainage, and facility renovation type projects. Some of the accomplishments of projects, we did building condition assessments on a number of buildings. If you recall, years ago, we removed the diesel and gas fuel tanks and the fuel pump from the back of the Public Works yard, so we don't have to conform to all the increasing environmental regulations. It was a team building project a year ago. We rebuilt the Mission Trail Nature Preserve footbridge at 11th Avenue. In Mission Trail, we also removed the tank, the pump house, the power pole, and decommissioned the well. San Antonio Pathway Reconstruction Project's under construction right now between 2nd and 4th. Vista Lobos EV chargers and electrical panels, it's designed, you'll be seeing that under construction with a bunch more EV charging stations, hopefully first half of next year. Street maintenance. We do our annual sidewalk condition survey as well as our storm drain condition assessment, beach sand redistribution, emergency response, obviously street maintenance, potholes, and pavement patching, street sweeping, and I call Jimmy our unsung hero. He sweeps every day. He's been sweeping most every day for 30 years. 38, I don't know, 48, not 50. For 50 years, Jimmy's been sweeping the same streets, and he still does it. I'm not sure why. TAMC funding, that's a little bit complicated to administer all the different types of funding so we can get our paving projects done. Traffic striping, signage and markings is part of street maintenance ongoing efforts. Some accomplishments in streets over the years. Number 2, this is a long ways down the road, but someday, thanks to our efforts, bike route USBR 95 will someday be from Canada to the Mexican border and pass through Carmel and not just stay on Highway 1. They'll come right down Camino del Monte and San Carlos. So be on the lookout for that. We've did a lot in cross-training our maintenance workers of forestry and streets. So if there's a storm, our street folks help forestry, and there's a big paving project, our forestry folks help out with streets. We opened up our first official bike route on San Carlos between 8th and 13th. Sidewalk repairs, we have an ongoing dedicated crew, but this is a huge backlog of sidewalk repairs, but at least we're chipping away at it. And give our hats off to streets for the numerous special events that, tree lighting to the parade and car week and all the special events that they help with. Accomplishments by our volunteers, thanks to Carmel Cares, the scenic pathway has been much improved. The Ocean Avenue median island landscaping is completely revamped. Forest Digital landscaping garden has been improved. My personal favorite was their community engagement programs, which is still ongoing. The median minders and downtown detail, really getting the community as a whole to chip in and help out where their passion, where their desire is to help the community as a whole. Friends of Mission Trail Nature Preserve, obviously trail maintenance and the Wheaties program has been a great success. Garden Club maintains the gardens at City Hall, the library, North Dunes, and the Friends of Carmel Forest have always been helping with tree plantings and care. Accomplishments at the different buildings now. City Hall, we did a bunch of ADA upgrades. The retaining wall, which is right outside the parking lot here, did not fall into the parking lot. The wall didn't fall into the parking lot before we fixed it. So we beat that. The roof was replaced, even though it rained in here once, but the roof was replaced. At the fire station, the backup generator was refurbished. We painted the interior upstairs. The vehicle exhaust system was rebuilt. At the libraries, at the Harrison Memorial Library, we painted the exterior recently. We constructed the gathering room and ready to open it just when shelter in place happened, so it was about a year before we could actually use it. Library master planning effort is underway, and they did condition assessments. Public Works helped out with that. At the Park Ranch Library, we had to replace the backup generator and the sump pump system for the basement, so God willing, it will never flood in there again. We've increased the number of outlets and heating capacity so we can use the Park Ranch as a storm shelter. We did story room modifications and a number of other different repairs, upgrades, and renovations of both of the libraries. At the Police and Public Works building, we have a concept plan which will maximize the use of the existing site. That concept plan will be unveiled to the City Council on special meeting on January the 7th, so be on the lookout for that. Very interesting concept of how to maximize the use of the site. The electrical panels in the garage were replaced. We rebuilt the police dispatch room. A lot of little projects here, but the building as a whole is not acceptable. We need to do something with that building. At Sunset Center, we replaced the boiler. Cottage windows were recently repaired. That's essentially complete. On an emergency basis, we had to replace the fire pump. The north wing of the building was painted in the exterior. We had to remove hazardous materials to get that far. And we have a design shovel ready for the retaining wall repairs that will be under construction early part of next year. Some major utilities were completed that Public Works oversaw. Cal-Am rebuilt the water line on Dolores from Santa Lucia to 8th. COD is about to get started on a major sewer pipe bursting project. Northeast corner of town, Guadalupe and Santa Fe are the main streets. The Del Mar Underground Utility District was approved by council last month, and this will really open up the view for the North Dunes habitat as well as the Carmel Beach. And years ago, PG&E rebuilt the gas line from 4th Avenue and Carmel del Monte. So these are some major utility project improvements that were overseen by Public Works. Okay, now I'm going to move on to the infrastructure report card. So this is based on the American Society of Civil Engineers. There's a national report card model. And basically, many of you may have seen this. It's usually on national news, where I think it's every 5 years, you'll see that the ASCE presents a report card that has the nation's airports are operating at a C+, and the nation's railroad systems are at a D-, and whatever, the ports are at A+, whatever it is, a big countrywide scale report card. Okay? Having served on a tiny little piece of it years ago, I said, you know what, wouldn't it be fun to do that, the Bob version in Carmel. So this is the same concept, scaled way down to focus on the infrastructure of Carmel. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'll be talking about 6 categories of infrastructure: streets and pavement, our drainage system, our facilities, fleet, forestry and parks, and the beach and shoreline. I'll compare current grades I just assigned for this year compared to the benchmark year 2017. And I'm giving like school grades, A through F. Unfortunately, nothing got an A, but fortunately, nothing got an F. Okay, here's the boring part, but this is important. Please, if you could, pay attention to this. Okay, little math. On the bottom of the chart, on the x-axis, going to the right is time. So the further to the right you are, the more further out in time you are. On the vertical scale, the y-axis is the condition. So you see in the condition on the far left is at 100. That's something brand new, whether it's pavement, whether it's your car, whether it's a roof, whether it's a storm drain. Basically the same process happens for most infrastructure. So if you look at the big, thick black line, starting at the beginning of time, it starts up brand new, it's in really good condition, or it's satisfactory and fair for many, many, many years. Now you see the big blue thick arrow. When you get to that inflection point, within a short period of time, the condition is going to drop rapidly. The key to infrastructure is to know when that inflection point is and invest your $1 for rehabilitation then, versus waiting maybe just a few more years and having to rebuild something more urgently and at a more frantic pace at $4 to $5 for the same type of system. Okay, so that's an important graphic to illustrate, and that's what we basically have been using to set up our capital improvement program. Okay, now on with the report card. Pavement and streets. So blues are the things that give it a higher mark, and red are things that are more challenging that might lower the score. We've had the best pavement in Monterey County. I know that for a fact in 2018 and 2021. I don't know that for a fact still, but my expectation is that we still have the best pavement in Monterey County. We did annual paving projects, a number of streets paved and slurry sealed over the years. We have a $2.7 million project that's shovel ready for concrete street repairs, but we need the money. We don't have that money yet. Next year, early part of 2025, we're going to have the biggest paving project in the city's history, a $2.8 million project, fully funded, almost ready to go. So that'll be a huge project. It's really going to help improve a bunch of our streets. We also applied microsurfacing as the city's first application of something other than overlays and slurry, I believe, in the city's history. So we're branching out on the types of pavement rehabilitation strategy. So that's a big step in the right direction. Bottom left, if you look at our pavement condition index, all of our categories have improved over the 7 years. Arterials, collectors, residential streets, overall pavement condition went from a 62, which is fair, to a 70, which is pretty good. You can never get to 100, because that'll be every single street is brand new all at once, and that's not going to happen. All right, red is challenges. Bike lanes. Well, we have one segment of bike lanes in the city that's painted and striped. We have long ways to go. Concrete streets, unfortunately, we're stuck with some concrete streets that are heavily damaged, and they cost a fortune. We have a problem in that the county, Monterey County, while they're responsive and they try to do the best they can, We get calls about the potholes on Carpenter and on Ocean Avenue outside of the city limits, and they're not the city's responsibility. So we have to, we let them know, and hopefully they come out and fix it, but it's a ding on us. Our sidewalks, like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of repairs that are needed. Overall, we're doing better based on the blue stuff above. So I'm saying it was a C+ years ago, and now we're up to a B+. So we're doing better. Again, all of this is my opinion. Drainage. In 2017, this is my quote, we had no idea what the condition of our drainage system was. Now we know exactly where investment is needed and in what priority order. So over the years, we did, actually the council just approved last week a new drainage project on 11th, on Lincoln at 2nd, and on Santa Fe. That will improve our drainage system. Those are high priority critical repairs. Years ago, we did the 5th Avenue Storm Drain Improvement Project. It's a pretty large scale project. Mission Trail Nature Preserve, the 3 drainage projects that the commission and the council toured, I think it was last month, right? Mission Trail Nature Preserve Stream Stability Study, there's 8 projects. So we just did the first 3. The next one's coming, hopefully next year's CIP, and then we got 4 to go. We did a storm drain master plan and the city's, which was the city's first storm drain master plan. And we updated it in 2023. Much better condition. We know where we're at. We have a game plan going forward on drainage. The challenge is we have the ground zero drainage problem is what we call the Junipero bypass. It's the #1 priority. It's about a $3+ million project, but we're suggesting to launch it next fiscal year to get the design started. We also have a big problem of stormwater in and out of private properties. Overall, though, years ago I had a D- in the report card, and I'm now saying it's a C+. Much improved. We're going in the right direction. There's facilities, and I caution our facilities guys not to break down in tears. It's not a reflection on them. But we have condition assessments completed on most of our buildings. As you saw, slides and slides of what we did in City Hall and the libraries and the fire station. We've done so many repairs and upgrades. But we're not even close. We have 8 buildings that are about 100 years old. The Flanders Mansion and Scout House have been unused for decades. They continue to deteriorate. We still have to maintain them. We still have to do repairs. They don't care if there's people living there. We still have to fix them. We need millions of dollars for identified repairs at City Hall, the fire station, Vista Lobos. The Police and Public Works building, I've been personally working on that since before I was hired. It's over 7 years. Other than fixing up a couple of problem areas, we haven't launched the project. We're going to do it on January the 7th. Here's a game plan to go forward. The building is past its useful life. It's unfit for staff. And it rains in the garage, and we're not getting it done. Please, I implore you to help get the city council to fund it, and let's get it done. Sunset Center needs ongoing major repairs. And remember that deferred maintenance graph? Remember the blue line? We're moving right from that $1 renovation to $5 rebuilds. That's where facility maintenance is. And for those reasons, I went from a C- to a D. That's the city's weakest link, is our facilities. Fleet is a little happier. We've implemented 6 EV charging stations, and we have 12 more in the hopper. We bought a new ATV for the beach. We bought a dump truck, electric street sweeper, about half of which was refunded by 3CE. Fleet maintenance used to be done by the city in the 1990s. It was contracted out mostly to the city of Monterey. When COVID took over, we had to save every penny we could, so we returned fleet maintenance in-house, and I think that's an asset. Big ticket items, we ordered an ambulance and a fire engine that will be delivered at the end of next year. Overall, we are going from a C to a B, much improved. One area of concern is that starting next year, the state's going to say, how much of your fleet is EV? And if you don't meet their targets, which no city, in my opinion, very, very few cities in the state of California are going to meet those targets, but the penalties might start kicking in. Forestry and parks. I know this will probably be more controversial to the commission, but here goes. This is my opinion. Good news is the Carmel Forest Master Plan is well underway. The contracting task order processing has been improved. The crew skills have improved. Our emergency response protocol has been improved. Our coordinating PG&E pruning has been improved. We only got that one time where we had to clobber them over the head, the gentleman that was at this podium years ago for cutting down a bunch of trees without our approval. Citizen request tracking has been improved, so we're on the right track there. The challenge is we still have a 3-year backlog of dead, very poor trees, about 1,000 trees, over 600 stumps. Backlog. We have an aging forest, as you know, drought and disease. Impacts from winter storms, especially the last 2 years, that really hurt. We have 2 tree ordinances, both of which are inconsistent and outdated, and they conflict. And we've had a chronic problem of staff vacancies in forestry. So for those reasons, downgrading a little bit from a B to a C+. But I don't see, wouldn't suggest we panic, because we have a game plan, we have the right people, we're getting more people, we're getting the resources. We just need patience and time to get caught up. That's my opinion. Home stretch, beach and shoreline, beach cleanups, really great, much improved. Public-private partnerships. Coastal engineering study, we have a condition assessment of our walls, our revetments, some of our stairs. We understand how the beach sand moves. We're starting to look at sea level rise. So we have a game plan, starting a game plan going forward. And thank God Almighty that the fire pits have been removed. And I want to shout out to Michael Fair, who meticulously went through the fire pits for years and recorded 6 cans of whippets were burned here. No dead cats, but whippets, sandals, books, garbage. Those fire pits are gone. That alone got an upgrade in score, in my opinion. North Dunes habitat restoration, for those of you who recall what it looked like 7 years ago, go out there today. It's a different story. And the scenic pathway is fully transformed. And again, thanks to the Carmel Cares folks. We still have challenges. Climate change, increasing storms and sea level rise. Equipment access ramp has been washed out, so it could be some years now before it's back. The permitting requirements for beach stairs takes a long time, and the wooden stairs, even the ones that we are about to fix, the structurally damaged ones, all the wooden stairs are at the end of their useful life. Okay? We have a plan for all of these things, and again, we just need to be, community needs to be patient, that we just need the time to do what we need to do. I think we're doing, overall, for the beach and shore, in my opinion, we're doing a little better. Went from a D+ to a C. And to summarize, our overall grades, most went up, a couple stayed the same, 1 or 2 went down. So overall, we went from a C- to a C+. That's not bad. I believe we're doing better on streets, drainage, and fleet, and our investments are paying off. Where I think investment is needed is buildings and facilities. That's our number one, that's the weakest link of this town. Our drainage system, we need to just keep putting in the investment, but we have a game plan. Same thing with shoreline infrastructure. So those are the things that we need to keep going. For more information, in addition to the slides online, the adopted budget book, there's a prop in the back. It talks about the 5-year CIP projects. Some of this information is in there. Also online, we have our 5-year capital improvement plan. That shows, it's updated each year, of course, but it shows what projects are anticipated for the following years to keep us on track. And that completes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Bob. Should we move this over to public comment? Anybody, or just bring it
I
back
hope
to
not,
the...
You
Does
can
anybody
ask.
on the
Brief.
commission have any comments to say?
Well,
Besides,
well done.
thank you, Bob. Well done. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm gonna miss you.
For sure.
Thank you.
We have a starting point to work on, and so we'll have to take it from there. Okay, well, with that, I think now we'll be ready to move on to the consent agenda. We only have one item today. Items on the consent agenda are routine in nature and do not require discussion or independent action. Members of the commission or the public may ask that any items be considered individually for purposes of commission discussion and/or public comment. Unless that is done, one motion may be used to adopt all actions. In this case, there's only the meeting minutes from last month to approve. If someone would like to make a motion.
I move we accept them.
You what?
I
For the meeting minutes? Would you like to make a motion to
I move
approve?
we accept
Oh,
the minutes.
okay.
That's what I said, I'm sorry. I didn't put it on this.
I'll second.
Okay, great.
Commissioner Burling,
Yes, yes.
Commissioner Mickey,
Yes, we want to do pickleball because we don't know about Jerry's thing.
Do you want to just do this first?
Oh, that's a quick one.
I'll do that.
Commissioner
You're
Mickey,
Okay. Yes.
Commissioner Jerry.
You're her
Thank you. The
excellency.
motion is passed.
Thank you. I beg your pardon for those of you who do have our agenda. We've had to make a few changes today, so we're just going to go to one other order of business, then we'll move to the pickleball. That is the proposed Forest and Beach Commission meeting dates for 2025. If you have those dates for us.
Justin, do you want to introduce that item briefly? There you go. I'm off court.
All right, so we have the proposed meeting dates for the 2025 calendar year. The reason that this isn't on the consent agenda is because one of the commissioners had questions on the feasibility of moving one of the meetings. So that as it stands, this is the weeks that we have here, are the months January 9th, February 13th, March 13th, April 10th, May 8th, June 12th, July 10th, August 14th, which is during Car Week, and I know that the commission before has moved it because it is a lot to have a meeting during Car Week. September 11th, October 9th, November 13th, and December 11th, which all of those are the second Thursday of the month. So
Okay.
if anyone has any issues regarding the meeting dates, what do you guys, we're here, we would like to hear them now.
Okay.
And if I may, Madam Chair, just to clarify, about a year ago, the commission went through the rules of procedure, and at which point it was determined to have these meetings start at 2:30 and to have it the second Thursday of each month. So that's what this draft meeting date is based on. So over to the commission to discuss.
Okay. I had two changes that I'd like to suggest. One would be for the January meeting, as we're currently down one commissioner, if we could move the January meeting to the third Thursday of the month, just to, I know this was a tight thing, and if anybody is out, we're sort of in trouble. Just so for next month, we're not guaranteed 3. I know I can't make it to the next meeting. So if we're able to move that meeting, as well as, thank you for mentioning the Car Week meeting during August, perhaps we should do the same for that, to move that to the third week of the month.
It's okay with me.
Is that okay?
Okay,
Someone-
me too.
Someone would like to make a motion for that?
I move we accept the calendar the way it stands, except for the 2 meetings, January and what's the other one?
August.
August, and move them a week later.
I'll second.
Commissioner Burling,
Yes.
Commissioner Mickey,
Yes.
Commissioner Jerry.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion is passed.
Thank you. And now I believe we're going to move to the adoption of pickleball rules in Forest Hill Park. And Tom, I believe you were going to say a few things.
Where is that?
He's got to get his stuff. Oh,
I can just leave it up here. It's fine.
You can leave it. It's fine.
I thought we were doing Mission Trail next.
No, it's all good. Justin, would you mind?
Yeah.
We
Okay, thank you. Yep, there will be time for public comment. Well, thank you very much, Chair, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tom Ford. I work in Public Works. We have been working on this pickleball matter for several months now with several of the colleagues here, several of my colleagues here in the room, with direction of the commission, input from residents. And today, staff is recommending that interim rules be adopted regarding pickleball use in Forest Hill Park. As you'll remember, in August, the City Council had directed staff and the Forest and Beach Commission to explore a policy prior to the end of this year that would balance pickleball and tennis activities at Forest Hill Park with the surrounding residential uses. And staff is recommending the interim rules be adopted for a limited period of time, perhaps 3 months, no shorter than 2 months, but these interim rules be adopted for a 2-month time period or a 3-month time period, with the idea that we will come back, analyze the situation, and should the commission choose, have a final policy recommendation to go to council for adoption, should that be the route that the commission takes. We've heard from a multitude of folks in the community, whether it be residents as well as folks in the pickleball community that live in the surrounding areas. We have heard those folks loud and clear. There's a reason why the game is so popular. So many benefits to this game. The exercise, people are outside, great friendships have formed. I've even gotten to know a lot of these people, whether it be speaking to them on the pickleball court, giving them a phone call. These are dozens of people we've spoken with, meeting them in their homes. We've gotten a great feel for the game. And also the first 2 courts were striped in 2011. And the other 2 pickleball courts were striped in 2021. Both of those decisions had Forest and Beach Commission approval. And with that play came some escalated matters regarding noise that were brought to our attention. And staff took a relatively straightforward approach. We compared the noise issues with the noise standards. The noise standards being the noise element found in the general plan and the Carmel Municipal Code. And they actually reflect one another, almost to the exact wording. These are the standards against which we compared pickleball. It was one of the methods that we used to determine whether pickleball, the extent to which pickleball is in compliance or not in compliance, by looking at whether the game fits the criteria. The exact wording from this section of the municipal code is, it says the following: the standards which shall be considered in determining whether a violation of the provisions of this chapter exists shall include, but shall not be limited to, the following. Then you're looking at what the following is on the screen here. It's 12 parameters, and the highlighted words are those that staff believes match the criteria of pickleball. Those are the volume and intensity of the noise, the number of people affected, the zoning of the area from which the noise comes, the time of day or night that you hear the noise, it being of an unusual nature, its proximity. Thank you, Bob. That's great. Its proximity to residences, it being of unnatural origin, the duration of the noise, and the noise being recurrent, intermittent, or constant. And regarding zoning, you'll actually notice that in letter D, it says the use and zoning of the area within which the noise emanates. So the chart on the screen is from the noise element, and it lays out essentially the acceptability of noise levels in residential zoned areas, which is the top row there, and the acceptability of noise levels in areas zoned as parks, which is the bottom row. And pickleball falls between normally acceptable to normally unacceptable within those land use categories. And as we stated in prior reports, I know that the commission is aware of this, but for folks who might have just be joining us today, as staff has stated in prior reports, sound data that staff has collected, it is not what we would term scientifically valid data. That would require a sound engineer, complex and expensive equipment, time of highly qualified professionals in field analysis, report writing, and so on. However, as has also been noted in prior reports presented to the commission, the highlighted information on the screen is consistent with the data obtained by a number of scientifically valid sound studies. They do not match the exact criteria of our community. In order to get that, you would need to hire sound engineers, but we can learn from that data. In other words, we use this as a guide. It's not, this chart you're looking at is not the municipal code, and the numbers on the screen are therefore perhaps not enforceable themselves, but they serve as a guide. One note that I would like to mention is the far right category, the clearly unacceptable category. We did not put any, staff did not put any highlights in there. For what it's worth, the USA Pickleball, which is that's the governing body of the sport, on their website recognizes that the sound may reach up to 85 decibels, which would be the kind of the far end of the clearly unacceptable range in residential and parks zoned areas. But we didn't highlight that because that, even their own data, they did not reference their own sound study. So I did not include that highlighted here. But these can be read in the context of what class of noise pickleball would be considered. Before we get to this on the screen, so there's Class A, Class B, Class C, and Class D noises as stipulated in this section of the municipal code. Class A would be the noise from emergency vehicles or vehicles of public interest like sirens, street sweeper. Class B noises are primarily construction related, and Class C is from motorized, from mechanized equipment. So go-karts or motorcycles or what have you. And then Class D is noises that include unnecessary or unnatural or unusual noises or sounds created by means of human voice or animal outcry, or by any other means or methods which are so annoying or which are so harsh or prolonged as to be injurious to the health, peace, and comfort of any reasonable person of normal sensitivities working, residing, or otherwise occupied in the area. And based on the comparison of the pickleball issues that have been raised relative to the sound standards that you had seen in the previous slides, staff believes that pickleball, as it currently is being played, appears to likely exceed the city's acceptable levels of noise standards and noise levels, which the problem of which is being exacerbated by the proximity of the court to nearby homes. On the screen here, you'll notice that it says location 1. It's within 100 feet of the courts. That's the public-private property line. And actually, all the houses on the west side of the street are within 100 feet of the courts. So the question is, what are the options to address this? Some possible interim rules options are, we'll just label them A, B, C, and D. A, eliminate pickleball entirely. B, limit the days and/or hours. C, mandate quote-unquote quiet balls or quiet paddles. We'll We'll get into that a bit, we'll explain that a bit more in a moment. D, reduce the number of courts. Currently there are 4 courts. So there's some possible interim rules options. Worth noting that we received a bunch of letters and correspondences from folks in the public. Thank you so much for sending those in. We had distributed copies and sent them to the Forest and Beach Commission. They do have those currently. There's also a copy that we have of each of these correspondences that we received, and they reflect a range of what these options are. There's folks on every part of the spectrum that you can imagine we have heard from. And we had found it helpful to frame part of the conversation around this question. If the courts had never been striped for pickleball, if Forest Hill Park had never been striped for pickleball, there's never been a pickleball game played on the courts there, would you recommend today that pickleball be introduced to Forest Hill Park? If the answer is no, you would not allow pickleball to be implemented today under any circumstances. If it had never been previously implemented, then staff would recommend option A, which is to eliminate pickleball entirely. But if you answered yes, allow pickleball to be played, but within certain parameters, then staff recommends options B, C, or D, or a combination of them. And to follow up on our conversation from last month, the commission had requested that we continue to look into the acoustical fencing. We have looked into that. Staff is not recommending that at this time. There are concerns about it's a high cost. There's concerns regarding possible reduced visibility, doubts about its effectiveness in resolving noise issues or noise complaints. So we're not recommending that avenue. So what is, if you would like to know, I'm sure we would be asked, what is staff's specific recommendation? This goes back to the original question, prompt. Explore a policy that would balance pickleball and tennis activities at Forest Hill Park with the surrounding residential issues. We were not, we weren't asked to resolve the matter through whichever means are easiest or allow the game to continue unregulated. It was to find a balance. So for a limited time period, 2 or 3 months, staff is recommending a combination of options B and C. The regulation of days and hours. Staff would recommend that pickleball play not be allowed on Sundays, perhaps weekends, but not on Sundays. And another option is staff would recommend a couple of weekdays a week. This would actually reflect what a local jurisdiction has. They have 2 weekdays a week where pickleball is allowed and 1 weekend day a week where it's allowed. And also to stipulate the hours. Currently there's no hours. That'll be up to your discretion, perhaps 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., but that'll be to your discretion regarding the time. And for C, the reason why staff is recommending this option is because if pickleball is to be played on any days, we do want to ensure that it's in compliance with the city's noise standards that we had just covered, and we believe that this option will comply, and that it may well strike that balance that we're looking for. This option C was actually first brought to staff's attention by pickleball players who play here at our court in Forest Hill Park. Many of you will actually recall a prominent pickleball player in our community had come up here and kind of demonstrated with one, I think it was the librarian ball, I believe, is what they had called it. And so the recommendation here is to require USA Pickleball recommended quiet balls Again, USA Pickleball, that's the official governing body of the sport. So that is, they have a whole term of quiet products, but we're recommending that USA Pickleball recommended quiet balls be implemented. And if anyone were to be interested in where could you ever find these? You could, it's a very simple search. You could go right now, if you want, go to Google and type in pickleball quiet pickleball, quiet pickleball balls, quiet pickleball equipment. I've searched all of these, and a multitude of options immediately pop up because they want your dollars. Buy those quiet balls. There are a ton of them. I think I found actually the exact one that the resident here had brought. I think it was the Gamma Librarian foam pickleball. For a 6-pack, it equals out to about a little under $4 a piece. Perhaps it's worth mentioning that USA Pickleball, again, the governing body, they're catching up. This is from a little over a year ago. They announced a quiet category, and less than 1 month ago, they had adopted the very first quiet product that like fits into their category. But there are so many of those quote unquote quiet balls available, and quiet products such as paddles. One question that perhaps may be burning in some people's minds regarding this option C of quiet materials is this here on the screen, which is the enforcement. We've gotten this question a lot. We've tossed this question around in our own minds. And this would be, first of all, this would be an interim set of rules, okay? Not set in stone policy, an interim set of rules, and perhaps a bit of a crude example might be of carrots and sticks. The carrot is we want the game to, people clearly love this game. We want people to continue to enjoy the games that they like within certain parameters that match the city standards. We want people to be able to enjoy their time outside getting exercise. That's the carrot. The stick is that with most things, if people do not follow the rules, then perhaps that would be time to address the option of not having the game be there. But I have full hope and faith that people will recognize these signs. Justin and I, our city forester and I, had spoken with our staff that makes signs in-house. We'd have signs prominently displayed. It would be very obvious what the rules are. That's not an example of what the sign would say. But we would have them prominently displayed, and we are hopeful and expecting people to comply. Again, this is not a permanent fix. We are not shoving this, as a permanent, policy solution. We're trying to find a balance, and we believe that this is a good avenue through which to find that balance. Regarding the fiscal impact of actually all of the options that we have presented today, there's very minimal funds required. The signage, our own staff can take care of that. And even if there were to be modified striping, in other words, if the commission was set on option D, which was reduce the number of courts, then even modifying striping would not be an exorbitant amount of money. But we do have sufficient funding available in our operating budget to cover such costs. The timing of which, and this is to kind of conclude my time up here, what would be the timing that we're recommending of implementing these measures? We're coming up to the holidays. It takes a bit of time for our staff to make signs. We believe that about the beginning of the first half of January, perhaps the first week of January would be when those signs would be ready. And with that, I will conclude my presentation and happy to answer any questions.
I have a question, Tom. On the other kind of ball, I had understood it was quite different than the pickleball, that it's a little more like a tennis ball.
That's a great point to make. The ball is different. The pickleball players, even though that was one of the options that they had brought up, everyone acknowledges that the spin is, the way that the ball moves is different. The game is a bit different. When you play with a plastic ball or whatever its composite material is relative to a foam ball, it is going to hit different. So perhaps Forest Hill Park might not be a place where official games would be able to be played per their current rules. However, it might be a place for people to be able to come and still play pickleball and to strike that balance between a reasonable amount of days and the noise that accompanies that. So yes, we should acknowledge that the game is different with that ball.
And they're supposedly quiet paddles, and I understand do you all have anyone used it? They don't change it very much.
It changes.
They do change it, the sound?
Yes. It's not the same game at all.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, and they would, perhaps those folks could speak to this better. In my, research, I think the paddles appear, at least to me, to be much more expensive than the balls. And I mean, we had people who have demonstrated that they're significantly less noise. And also, by the way, sound studies have shown that it reduces decibels. But we just thought, as we discussed the options, that was a much more accessible option, a much cheaper option. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Tom, thanks for your presentation. Real quick, if you can put the slide of the different options.
Yes. Of our recommendations, the cities.
Sure.
Okay, that's what.
For when people come up and
Sure,
talk,
sure.
That might be helpful. And then the other one is,
So I think they heard me.
you started talking about perhaps first or second week of January, we would put if the commission directs us to put some signs up for whatever these options are. Say first, second week of January, we can get that started. Can you give us a little more detail about following up? You said it's an interim period, so maybe that's another decision of the commission to decide 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, but then to come back and maybe briefly talk about how you would assess what has happened.
Sure.
And then report back and, hey, this is going great, this is terrible, we start to try a different option. Could you?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Luckily, we do not have a lack of people who would like to provide their input. I think I said this on day one. This is the best. It's not a problem. This is the best opportunity we could have. And I had also said many of the residents actually did the research for me. They would send me article after video, and many of those we have referenced in our reports. They're extremely helpful. So we would be every single person that we've spoken with thus far. We want to meet with you again. We'll do so right that first week. We'll take out time, give you a call, come over if you'd like, walk over to the courts. We want this to be something that works. We want to find a reasonable, I'm not going to say solution, we would like to find a reasonable set of interim rules that finds that balance that we want.
So at the end of a few months, you come back, you and the community as a whole would report back to the commission how it's going?
Yes.
Because that's what you're suggesting?
Yes. We can certainly summarize their points, but I think at that point it would be really helpful to have them all come up and give their take.
And as you mentioned, if signs go up the first 2 weeks of January, is that when our time period effectively would start once the signage is up? How would you
Yes.
see that? Okay.
Yes. Whatever amount of time you stipulate, 2 months or 8 weeks or 12 weeks, 2 months or 3 months, we would, let's see, 2 months would, if it was, let's say the 8th of January, that would push it to February, the beginning of March. Let's say the 8th of March. Our meeting is, we just decided on it. What's that? Just want to refer to what we just talked about.
Sorry, Tom.
13th.
March 13th. Perhaps we could just set a date right now and say the 12th to the 12th. January 12th to March 12th, or to April 12th. Either 8 weeks or 12 weeks, and the very next day would be Forest and Beach, and we would invite folks to come up. Is an option.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's hear the public.
Thank you very much, Tom and Justin, for anything I know you've both been working on this. Thank you very much for that presentation.
Thank you, Chair.
Of course.
Great to invite.
Unless you have any
Yeah.
questions.
Any other
questions
Is
for Tom?
anybody?
Any other comments or questions?
The only thing I can think of is the issue of how often in January and February you can even use the courts if we have another winter. It may not be the perfect study time. I believe that you need to have at least 2 or 3 weeks in a row of where it's not raining every second or third day. If it's 1/100 of an inch, it doesn't matter. But if it's, half an inch, that might skew the effect on, the impact on the homeowners. Certainly the players as well, because they wouldn't be able to play. I just threw that out there, so maybe that will have an impact on how long we want this to happen.
The
2 months
duration.
may not be enough. 3 months is on the edge. But I think if you can get enough decent weather where they will be out there enjoying the game, and the homeowners that live right next to it will be able to assess actually what's happening. I'm just throwing that out there.
That's a good point. So maybe 3 months.
Yeah, at least
Closer to 3 months. Okay. Sarah?
I don't have anything else. I'd be interested in what people want to say.
Okay. Can we invite public comment? Anybody has any public comment? I think there are.
Hello, I've talked to you before, wrote stuff down. I'm Susie Crary. I grew up in Carmel, and I actually played tennis at Forest Hill Park in the 1950s. So in 2000, Tom already went through this. I met with the Forest and Beach commissioners at Forest Hill Park and outlined what we wished to do, which was putting in 4 pickleball courts. At their meeting that day, the commission unanimously approved our plan. In other words, we didn't come in the middle of the night and pay. We did everything by the book. Our group, and I mean by our group, the many people who love the game of pickleball, we power washed the courts, painted the lines, purchased the nets, brooms, and squeegees, all at no cost to the city. Our only resistance was when a disgruntled neighbor destroyed all 4 nets. Our group purchased new ones, plus we bought a new tennis net, which we donated to the city, and because it was in disarray. We leave the nets there for all to use, as it is a public park. Our group's done many good things for the benefit of the entire community, and we hope that you would listen to some of our suggestions, and I think we've earned it. About the librarian ball, I brought it last time. I'm a national champion in pickleball, singles and doubles. If you require only the quiet ball, you are not going to have any issues at Forest Hill Park because nobody will play there. You cannot expect pickleball players to switch like that. It's just not gonna fly. So you will not have a problem. I think you should do at least a couple of days a week with using the regular ball, and then you'll have people playing. Otherwise, the people that are complaining will get their wish and nobody will play there. Okay? Any questions? And by the way, the librarian is fun, but it is different. It is a different ball. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Susie. Yes, please.
Hello, my name is Patricia Sosa, and I'm a pickleball player, and I have an office here in Carmel on 6th Avenue in, what's the name of that? In the Patterson building. So anyway, at 5 o'clock I have a final exam in criminal law. And so instead of studying, I'm here because it's that important to me, even though passing my exam is important too. But I'm here because I have a petition. My fellow pickleball colleagues and me, we went ahead and signed, put our names, first name, last name, and contact information if you'd like to reach us. I'd like to tell you why I started playing pickleball, for mental health. Pickleball is a game that you can play, so you're in the same place in mind and physically. And so that's one of the reasons that I began to play pickleball as a recommendation from my therapist. Pickleball is the kind of game that you can play and still have like a casual conversation. It's that kind of game. You do meet a lot of people. It's very positive. The ambiance is very like fun, family. It's great. I have made so many friends. And in our area, I believe it's a blue zone totally. I have gotten the chance to play with people who are in their 80s, and they give me a hard time out there. And so it's for our community, for our health, mental health, physical health. We do need to get our hearts pumping, and so there's a lot of benefits of this game. If you have watched the Blue Zones documentary, it talks about the social aspect. It's really important for us to spend time with others, to get out, get some sun. And so this game is great for that, because we get out there, and even if people don't like to play the game, they can come and watch others. So for people watching, it's just a great community event to keep. So please keep pickleball courts open and available if you need to adjust. I mean, we'd love to hear what are the complaints about. How can we give and take, but please don't eliminate pickleball entirely. And our teacher would be really upset if you changed our balls and changed our paddles, because it is a game. You know, if we go out and tell somebody, okay, now you're not going to play football with that ball anymore. We're going to give you this. I mean, how many are based on, so please don't do it to pickleball. But thank you so much.
Thank you, Patricia.
Hello, my name is John Charmello. I'm a resident, about 100 yards from the pickleball courts. Hey, Tom, can you play the video that we sent you to play? Yeah. Okay, can you dim the lights and turn the volume for the video? So this video was shot when you made the decision to put the pickleball courts or stripes or netting a few years back. And I believe Mr. Herreri is in that video as well, was overseeing this particular meeting here. So I want to bring your attention to the decision-making process and the callousness with which the persons that made this decision didn't care about the residences and the noise that it was going to cause. And they admitted it back then, over 2 years ago. Please play it.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I think, Sarah, you were there too, laughing about how, oh boy, this is going to be funny.
We play
Can you play it?
9:30 usually. Come out.
I heard the invitation.
We're not going to let you win, but
we brought it back. So,
Can you put the video
why
up on the
don't
screen?
both of you come out? We play 9:30 usually. Come out.
I heard the
We're not
invitation.
going to let you win, but we'll give you a game.
All right, but again, I think at some point we're probably going to start to hear
the ball there. Turn the volume up, pause it.
Susie, we
start
brought it back.
Pause
So,
That's as high as it
Back
goes.
it up again.
This is as high as it goes, and it's the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah, why don't both of you come out? We play 9:30 usually. Come out.
I heard the
We're not
invitation.
going to let you win, but we'll give you a game.
all right, but again, I think at some point we're probably going to start to hear some
some complaints about 4 pickleball courts going all at the same time. It is noisy, and it's fun noisy, but it's noisy if you happen to live by it, and you might not necessarily appreciate it all the time. So be it. I think at this time, I would certainly make a motion to approve the forester's recommendation.
I'll second that.
Yeah, and so there it was approved. Mr. Herrera, I don't think you interjected at all, just let it go. So my point here, this is a huge ethical transgression by the board overseeing this. And just, so be it, let the neighbors complain. And then we had, someone that was complaining here. This is our health and our well-being as well. And if it affects one neighbor, that's one neighbor too many. It's against the state law and Carmel municipal code law. And it's unethical what happened here. And then you're asking to experiment on the neighborhood for another couple of months and let it happen. It's not going to happen. We're done. We are going to take this to arbitration because you guys are not unbiased here, and we'd have to disclose this if we sold our homes to the new buyers that there is a noise issue here. So we're not going to allow you guys to experiment anymore, and this is one terrible legacy, I think, Mr. Herrera, to leave to the new persons that are coming in along with the new council. It has no business being in this park. We put up with it for too long. We're done. No more. Thank you. So please reconsider the decision you're going to make tonight, because it's going to cost the city its reputation, because we're I would say a global known city, and it's also going to cost money in arbitration to the tune of maybe, who knows, but quite a bit. So make sure you budget that. Make sure, I would say also that the new council members know to allow that for the 2025 budget, because you're going to be paying for arbitration in the county courthouse.
Excuse me, let me ask you a question,
sure.
though. You say we, how many people are you representing?
Ma'am, I'm a resident in Carmel here. That's one, and that's enough. I've been a resident for 25 years, and I can hear pickleball in my house. I have single pane windows, so that's enough. This isn't ruled by mob here. Do you understand that? It's against the law what you're doing here. You're violating state law and city code. So it doesn't matter how many people. This isn't a vote about how many people, who's this is going to affect. It's affecting the neighborhood's mental well-being, and enough is enough.
Okay, thank you, John.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Hello, I am Marian Weaver. I'm a licensed California landscape architect, and I wanted to speak in favor of public parks. That I understand that the neighbors are upset. It happened that pickleball got invented, and it's louder than it is playing tennis there. But there's a lot of people in Carmel that do want to play pickleball. And I'm pretty sure that the commission, when they allowed it, did have no bad intention at all to hurt any of the neighbors. It is a public park, and usually I believe, I'm not in real estate, but if you purchase a home that is near a public park, you do have a disclosure that you are going to have in the neighborhood a place where people laugh, where they play music, where they do all kinds of recreation. And since pickleball is just so such a great sport, I have to say I'm a pickleball player myself. That is why it was allowed, and I still feel that public parks should have some power. I don't know when that park was dedicated, but it's an open space that is for everyone, and not just only for the residents. I feel like it is even an open space for all the visitors that come to Carmel that I have met. There are so many amazing people, amazing players. It is a place to meet, it is a place to do recreation, and it belongs to the city, it belongs to the residents of the city, and it belongs to the public. And I just wanted to, I'm hoping that there will be some days where pickleball can be remaining there. And if it's next year, it might be a different sport. You know, racquetball went out of style too. But for now, it has tremendous value to people, mentally, physically, socially, and it is a question of how many, I feel like, because it's like a piece of property that is owned by the city and owned or should be used by everyone. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rita Patel. I have 4 children who were all raised in Carmel and attended CUSD schools. I'm here advocating for no restrictions on day or time for pickleball courts on behalf of my children. I understand there is no option E. I'm not sure why we would want to limit days and times for kids to be playing outside and getting exercise and fresh air. Winter and the rains are coming and the days are going to be already limited, and even in the summers it has been windy and foggy and there were limited days of play there too. First, my kids would drive to Carmel, see if people were playing. If there was no one playing, they would then drive to Monterey or PG to find people to play with. If you were to limit days and times or use of quiet balls, I'd want to see a firm data from a professional noise study to support your decision. And please at least keep Saturday and Sundays, because my kids work on Monday through Friday. While raising my kids, I've always encouraged them to go outside and play and limited their technology. Unfortunately, when COVID hit, school went online and my kids were on their devices, computers, iPhones, iPads for 8 to 12 hours a day. COVID was 4 years ago, but the kids are still feeling and dealing with the effects, and it's been really hard to peel them away from their devices and return to normal life again. Luckily, last year, my kids discovered pickleball and started coming outside from isolation of their rooms, off their devices, slowly starting to exercise, have fun again, and go outside. They really like this sport because it's easy to play, it's been fun, doesn't require too much skill, if you're a beginner. And most of all, they can play it fast. They can play it for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or even 60 minutes. The pickleball courts in Carmel have been a blessing for my kids and my family, and I encourage you not to limit the days and times of pickleball courts so all kids can play outside, which is really good for them, for their mental health and physical well-being. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Chris Patchell. I live at 24415 San Luis, so I drive by the courts multiple times daily. I'd like to commend you all for being volunteers on this committee. My previous city, I was on the Parks Board for 8 years. One of the things that we did in that city was every park had a designation, active, passive, or specific things. Certainly Forest Hills Park is an active park with basketball, playground, bathrooms, tennis, and pickleball. So pickleball is not a change of the park's designation. It's just been a popular thing that really blossomed during COVID. If you drive by the park now, and this would be item B, there's lots of times that the park is completely quiet. It's a lot different than it was in 2020, 2021, when all 4 courts were going because that was the only activity anybody could do. I'm not opposed, even though I'm a pickleball player that would love to play every day of the week, to some restrictions. I'd want you to consider restrictions that maybe gave us more days and fewer hours. Most people play early in the morning or 4 or 5 in the afternoon for the working crew. The rest of the time, the park is quiet. So don't make judgments based on what happened 2 years ago or what happened during the day you were there on the weekend. Weekends do get busy. I prefer not to play on the weekend sometimes because it's too busy. So I'm, again, not advocating no restrictions, but just be aware it's an active park. Pickleball is a sport participated by lots of people, and it's growing, and we'd like to keep playing. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Didier Diaz. I live within earshot of the tennis court. For the sake of efficiency, I'm also speaking on behalf of my neighbor, Dana and Christopher, since you're concerned about how many people are involved. I think the staff report posed the critical question. If pickleball were not allowed today, what would you do? This a little bit. So you come and let's consider letting people play pickleball on a tennis court. If you look at what happens when you do that, you always have complaints. Most of these complaints turn into lawsuits. does Carmel want to get into that business in this hypothetical case? You know, especially given the fact that the potential solutions are not certain. The fencing doesn't seem to work. We've just heard how much the pickleball player love the quiet balls. So it seems like you get into a dead end. And especially, so we know that pickleball doesn't belong in a residential area. And then you bring that residential area, you put it in Carmel. Carmel, which is a city that says it wants to keep its village approach, be quiet. It has outlawed gas-powered weed whacker and blowers. It uses electric sweepers. It even tells people to keep their voice down when they're in the town. So the two don't match. And I am tired to hear that this is a park. This was a tennis court. The park is lower, right? People are not allowed to skateboard there or play basketball or anything they want. As far as the social aspect and the beauty of pickleball, great. But guess what? So are drum circles. That doesn't mean they should be allowed. I believe bonfires are also a wonderful way to have fun with people and your family and so on. They were prohibited in Carmel. So, you know, as far as I'm concerned, you should really look at option A, even if it's only for 3 months. So we finally get a break after 3 years and get 3 months of quiet, during which you can go and look into the fencing further, quiet balls, whatever you want. But as far as I'm concerned, the option C and D, well, C we've heard it's a non-starter for the players. They would rather not play than play with foam balls. As far as only having one court, you know, it's like having a construction site next to you where instead of having 4 people banging on nails all day, you only have one. When you have one game, you're done. In terms of, by the way, I love hearing people who do not live by me tell me that there is nobody there. It's ridiculous. On Monday, there were 25 people, Monday afternoon, 25 people, cars all over the place, and some sort of party with drinks and food and whatnot. So it is noisy, it's still there. Please, they have had 3 years of uninterrupted fun where they have been able to make as much noise as they want, whenever they want. Give us 3 months of complete quiet, and yes, someday they won't be able to play anyway because it's raining. While you look at, is there something we can really do, and is this something that really belongs to Carmel? Thank you.
Hello. Thank you for your time. I will try and make this quick. So for the commissioners, thanks for volunteering. I know it's a lot of work, and often thankless. I'm sure something that you deeply cared about brought you and called you to serve on this commission. And so I hope that you can think about that and keep that in mind when you think about the things we deeply care about here in our community, that we all try and work to better. City staff, I thank you for serving as well. And I know that pickleball has created a lot of extra work for you. I get to hear about that often, and it's one thing that made me never want to try pickleball. I tried pickleball because it was the only little thing I could do with my kids. It was tennis with a practice tennis ball on a small little condensed court, just playing like doubles tennis. And my husband said, well, if you like this, you would love pickleball. And yeah, we couldn't tear ourselves away from it. And it was pretty much the only thing I could do. And now I'm doing better than I've been doing in over 10 years. I have the energy to go to my kids' games, to cook them dinner. And we're a very recreation and sports family. My husband serves in the community for city government. And so I really care about your position. And I think it's a community issue that we all need to work together. People that play pickleball, people on the commission and the city staff and the neighbors. And I think the solution can be working together to mitigate the noise. I know that wasn't what Mr. Ford had recommended, but I think that's pretty easy to do, actually, considering we don't have a rec department here. That's really strange. Most cities have a rec department, and our neighboring cities have a budget of over $5 million. So it doesn't seem like much, because the city the size of Carmel would have about $1 million for a rec budget. We don't have any recreation. Where else will my kids and I play pickleball? Where else can we play with 4 generations of people? What other sport, you tell me, provides an opportunity like that? That park is public space. It was dedicated to our city in Carmel for tennis and pickleball. I've never heard of anyone telling or trying to require sports to be quieted. I mean, I don't like football, but people seem to like it. Now it's even on Thanksgiving. How'd that happen? I'm not cool with that, sorry. But when do we have to quiet the, sports and all of that? Also, we spend money downtown at the restaurants, and we don't want to have to go elsewhere to do that. Okay. And let's see. I think that's pretty much it. I probably said too much, but not everybody that lives here can has the privilege to go and play somewhere else or at a private club like people think. Some of us have to stay close by to take care of ailing family members, so that's another thing. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kimberly Edwards. I live about 100 feet from the courts. I spoke here before in August. One thing I want to make clear is that we keep talking about the popularity of the game and how much people love it and how it has so many health benefits. But that should have no bearing on your decision today, because the issue is it never should have been approved to be played. Tennis courts for tennis, this is not and was never designated for pickleball. So I don't know why people keep saying that. It's a park. It was designated for tennis. I've been here for 12 or 13 years. It's a nuisance. It is a constant nuisance, especially on the weekends. I watched that in the full extent of the meeting in 2021, and it was approved with like they said, knowing that we weren't going to like it. There was the survey. They talked about a survey. The survey was done on Nextdoor, according to that Zoom meeting, and some other site online. I was never surveyed. None of my neighbors that surround those courts were surveyed. Pickleball started being played. Why wasn't I surveyed? A survey shouldn't be used in the whole of Monterey Peninsula to say, yes, 85% of the people said yes on pickleball. That's what it said in that Zoom meeting. So my unequivocal recommendation is there should be no pickleball on these courts. There should be pickleball put somewhere else. It's too dense and too compact of a community for that to be going on. It's not tennis. It isn't even just, it's the noise of the people yelling and their excitement, people parking in front of my house all the time, and then I can't park in front of my house. It is, especially on the weekends, a total nuisance. So again, I want people to be healthy. I think it's great. It's a great game, but it doesn't belong on these tennis courts. It doesn't. So your only decision, as far as I'm concerned, is that it should not be allowed on the tennis courts. Some other they can go somewhere else. It's not going to work. So, and I bought my house for the peace and quiet of this neighborhood. The weekends, it's a nightmare. Most weekends, and they start at 7 in the morning, and they play until dark. So on the weekends, when I get up in the morning, I hear tennis. I hear the ball pop, 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 pop. All the time, especially on the weekends. I've lost my peace and quiet, and I'm tired of people parking in front of my house. They don't care. There's not sufficient parking. This wasn't designed for this. It was designed for tennis with 2 games, with 8 people, not 16 people, and people waiting in the wings to play because they want a pickup game. So they're circling the thing, and there's not enough parking. So that's my 2 cents. So to me, your decision today should be, that's it. Don't spend time on studies and more time. It's like there's no other decision to make.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm going to need to stop you. I just want to make a quick comment because we do have so many people here to speak. I am going to need to keep you to the 3 minutes. So please, when you hear the buzzer, I'll have to ask you to stop.
What I was going to say to you is because we have as many and we have to quit at 5 today, that we don't have a majority after that. If you could keep it to 2 minutes, it would really be a help. Because there's still, how many still want to speak? Everyone should get 3 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, if we can just ask you to please keep it to the 3 minutes. Thank you so much. And I'd like to make one other comment because I know there's a lot of emotions around this topic. It is important, as I had said earlier in the meeting, that there's no sense of threat of any nature, whether it be a lawsuit. We're absolutely trying to do our best here with this decision, and there's a lot of passionate views on this. So I just want to mention that as well. So thank you again. Please go ahead, sir.
Graham Norton. I'm one of the 100-footers. I'd like to pick up on the previous lady's mention of the pop, pop, pop. It's not pop, pop, pop. It's like a dripping tap, water torture. And I can confirm that on Monday there were 25 people on that court, chatting away, shouting, and the noise. All courts were in use, so that means that the dripping tap was horrendous. You sit in the garden in the 100-footers, and that's unbelievably unpleasant. You have to understand that. I haven't heard many of the pro pickleballers actually considering the residents' dilemma to much of an extent. I've recently had cause to, as advised by the City Council, to call the police, and they have come out to give citations for illegal parking. This is only the last few weeks, and also for playing pickleball in the dark. You are not going to enforce this unless you completely erase pickleball from that court. I don't know why the signs are still up there that say do not hit the tennis balls against the wall. I mean, how ridiculous is that? That noise is insignificant compared with these plastic things. And any concern about introducing the new quiet ball, presumably they all had to learn how to use a plastic ball. All they've got to do is learn how to use a quiet ball. I mean, it's very easy. Anyhow, I'll leave you with that thought.
Thank you, Graham.
Hello. So I'm nervous. Hello, everyone. My name is Krista Ingalls. I'm a longtime resident, having grown up here in Carmel and attending all Carmel public schools. I'm a pickleball player and live a short distance from Forest Hill Park. I guess I'm kind of old-fashioned in that I believe a public park is meant to be used, and not just by locals, but by everyone. I feel that when one moves next door to a park, one should realize that it's going to be used, and how it's used might change with the times. There is no guarantee that things will stay the same. When I was in my youth, the Carmel courts were almost always full with tennis players, but times change. In recent years, the courts have not been used for tennis much. It seems recreational tennis has fallen out of fashion a bit. Before pickleball became so popular, the neighbors adjacent to the courts got used to very little actually going on their public courts. That doesn't mean it will stay that way or that it should. Things evolve. Is what we want a park that the city owns and maintains but not being used? It is a beautiful thing when we see our public parks being fully used and enjoyed by all. So I hope you realize if you limit play or eliminate courts, that what you will have is busy courts on pickleball days and very little use on the other days. This is what has happened in Pacific Grove. In Monterey, where they dropped the number of courts from 4 to 2, you have the 2 pickleball courts being used and the tennis courts most often empty. So if your intention is to have lovely empty courts in your beautiful public park, then perhaps you should move forward. But I think it is a sad commentary on our town and our community. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Kristen.
Good afternoon. My name is Todd Muck, and I'm a resident of Monterey. Bob, congratulations on your pending retirement.
Thank you, sir.
I miss you. I can keep this shorter by saying ditto to what Krista just said. I work full-time. If you regulate the hours and reduce the time, it just means the likelihood of me to be able to play at all becomes much less. The weekends are the time I typically play because that's the days I'm off. After work means after 5 o'clock to me, so regulating and reducing the hours in the evenings are, again, if you can't play at a certain time, it's most likely that I won't be able to play at all those days. Carmel is a difficult place to live and work and recreate in at the same time. There's often things that are hard when you live in town and not be able to get things done when you work full time. I'm going to multitask today. I'm going to go by the post office and pick up my mail on the way home because I took time off today to be here. Took time off from work. But this is an important topic. This is the way I recreate in Carmel by playing pickleball in the courts, and reducing that opportunity impacts me and my family directly. And I can't emphasize that part more. Pickleball is the one thing now that I do actively with our sons, our kids. Multi-generational aspect of pickleball is really something that's special. The only other time I had that is growing up playing golf with my grandpa, and it's just something that you don't see around very often, and it's free. It's a public access in the park, and this is something that's unique, and I really hope we can consider that, the importance of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Anybody else?
Hello. Thank you for taking comments of the public and opponents and proponents of pickleball. I have Exhibit A. Exhibit A here basically is option A, which I think is a terrible option to have. And I would like to quote a person who frequented here before. Let's put that baby to rest. Let's make my day in that one. Option B, I think it's a great compromise. Option B meaning limiting the number of days that pickleball is played. Pacific Grove, as you know, Morris Steel Courts, where I learned to play 3 years ago, is a great place. Pickleball players would probably like to have more than 3 days a week, but right now we have 3 days a week. It's reasonable, and it's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, allowing a weekend to play for those people that can't play during the week. If you use this option, option B, I think it'd be good to have a weekend play too, such as Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, or Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday, because it would offset the days that Pacific Grove has theirs. The thing that we need to consider, however, on option B is who's going to take care of the nets. At Pacific Grove, what happens is the staff has chained them to the courts and the inside of the courts, the rolling nets. And they unchain them in the morning on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and then they lock them back up on those days. So who's going to do that in Carmel? You need to think through that, and maybe you already have. And who's going to maintain the equipment that is used after rains to clear off the courts? So those are questions that have to be and can be figured out. Option D is to reduce the number of courts from 4 to 2. But again, that would be a decent option to have. However, that cuts the social aspect of pickleball in half. And most of us here that do play pickleball enjoy so much the social aspect of it that would detract it like it does at Via Preso. Personally, I don't play at Via Preso in Monterey because they cut the courts from 4 to 2. It's really hard to find a game there. I do want to also mention option C, which is, I think, the radical approach requiring of quiet balls. Here's the quiet balls here, the librarian ball. It is really quiet. And I've introduced these to all the public courts in Monterey County with mixed success. Some people like them, some people don't like them. But I like the option you have there, see right up there, because it is realistic. So I consider that.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else who'd like to make a comment? Before you go, sir, would like to mention one thing because of the nature of this, and we have some scheduling issues with some of the people here. If anybody is here for the Mission Trail Nature Preserve work, we are going to have to reschedule that to the January meeting. So just wanted to let you know that now so you could come back and join us for that meeting. Okay. Thank you very much.
My name is Monty. I live across from the pickleball court or tennis court. It is loud. Constant bing bang, back and forth all day. Starts 7:30 in the morning, on the weekends especially. And it's obnoxious. Not just that, you get the people that like to yell and holler for victory and the agony of defeat, and people swearing. There's kids who live directly across the street. They get to hear it. The parking is no good. They park in our spot. I have no room to put my truck because I got people parked there. Matter of fact, we did count. We counted 18 cars the other day. It was last week or the week before, and there was 20 some odd people out on the court. There's 16 people playing at one time and the ball constantly wrapping back and forth. It shouldn't be there. I'm all for sports. I'm all for pickleball. Not there. Get these folks to have another court somewhere in Carmel that's zoned right for it. That's affecting our resale value of our homes. Why should we suffer for it? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there. My name is Alan Schooley, and until recently I lived pretty close to the pickleball courts and could hear when they hear the pickling and not. And there are definitely, the weekends are very traffic full, and I've experienced that and been there and seen that and played there, and I totally get that. But also there's just a ton of time where it's not, and I can hear when they're playing and I can hear the yelling or screaming. And so there's kind of a mix of both on both sides. We generally with our group, we ask people not to start till 9. So if it's people who are starting earlier, it's mostly out-of-towners or people who don't know the rules that we have for ourselves. So that's on the resident side. On the pickleball side, we have, if you use the quiet balls, people aren't going to play. I've got the app, the WhatsApp for the courts, and people, put on there and say, hey, we're going to play or whatever, and then people right now, as they're listening and chiming in, they're like, this will just eliminate pretty much pickleball from Forest Hill if we have to use the quiet balls, because it's really just such a different thing. It's really not at all the same. And especially for some of us who are competitive. Susie used the national thing, and you can't go anywhere up with a different kind of sport. It's a different sport, and you can't progress in that. So I hope that there's, I can kind of see the resident side of things, because it is very noisy and loud and very packed, especially on the weekends. I get that, I experience that and understand that. But at the same time, changing the game completely is not going to work either. So if you do that, ultimately it will eliminate pickleball from the courts. So thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you, Ellen.
Hi, my name is Barbara Lang, and I'm a pickleball player too and live not too far from the courts.
And just a couple of things I wanted to mention. One, I was going to mention location of the park. One of the guys said that, Carmel's quiet and, nice environment. Well, that's Carmel-by-the-Sea right in the town, ocean and everything. This is not that location. This is the park that most people who come to visit don't even know exists because it's not anywhere near Ocean Avenue. It's not anywhere where the cute stores are and the people are. It's way further. I didn't even know. I lived here for probably 7 years before I even knew where that park was. So I think that's important to remember. It is not in the middle of Carmel-by-the-Sea. The second thing is the fencing. I thought last meeting we talked about having the company come and actually walk around. And I have not heard, all I heard was it was really expensive, but I have not heard or seen a quote from the company saying what it would cost, how many fences we need to do, how high we need to do it. And I think if we do the temporary measure, which is fine, then I would like to see the results of that, of a company coming out and giving us data, because according to Kelly, Yountville was really successful with it, and I'd like to see us do that so that everybody would benefit and share the cost. So I'd like to make sure that that happens, because that's something you guys said you would do. The next thing I want to talk about is parking. Parking is not great, but I have driven by there and walked there with my dog, saw lots of cars parked there and nobody playing. Not one person on the court, but there was parking all around the park. So there are a lot of people that live there, and construction people and gardeners that come and go, that park, on that side of the park. So it's not just pickleball players. So I wanted to make that clear, that it's more than just pickleball players that aren't parking correctly. But we love the game. Again, there aren't a lot of places where you can play for free, and I think that it would be a shame to take it away. But limiting it, I'd be okay with that. And I would like to see different days than PG. We did a study, and it looked like one or 2 days of the weekend and maybe Monday, like Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, or Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday. I don't know what's so special about Sunday. I'd have to ask why the residents hate Sunday. I'm not a religious person. Maybe that's a religion thing, but I don't know. But anyway, either day would be fine. But they do Saturday and PG, so I thought Sunday and Carmel would be better. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barbara. Yes. Yes, please.
In terms of the acoustical fencing and getting a quote, we've reached out 7 times and the guy won't return our calls. And in terms of Yountville, it is quite a different situation. They're in a flat zone in the planned community, not at an elevated position where the sound is not going to go directly into the fence. It's more similar to Via Prizo, with the houses above the actual noise.
So does that mean you won't follow that lead now?
We're still trying, but the guy has to return our calls.
I can get the number and try to.
Thank you, Justin.
Hi, my name is Paul Bien, and I'm here to speak in favor of keeping the pickleball courts as open as long as possible during daylight hours. I want to thank the commission. Bob, thank you for opening my eyes to all the work there is to be done and all the needs of the city. I believe the commission already understands the value of pickleball to the quality of life. I don't hear you having a beef against that. And I don't think that's the question you're wrestling with. I could sit here and echo what people have said about the value in my life for the social benefit to this, which is part of the reason that we have these parks, is for quality of life. That's the amenities you have as a city. That's probably a big reason you're sitting here, right? Is the beautiful things that we have to offer to make the quality of life so attractive here. But it is a noise issue, and it's a real issue. The neighbors are not joking. It's not just decibels, it is the high-pitched sound of it. It can be annoying, and other communities have been stuck with this same problem. But the noise of the people playing in the park is not the issue. It's a park. If people are laughing, yelling, whatever, they're in a park and they're having fun. And that comes with all types of play in a park. The quiet equipment option seems like a good option. It's like, great, solves our problem, quiet ball, quiet paddle. The fact is none of these are approved for tournament play, and all of us who play pickleball use tournament approved equipment. And as it was stated here in the audience, it's a different game if you would play with the other equipment. So what would be hard to be in your position, to have to make this decision without data, facts, standards? What are other cities doing with their, what kind of guidelines have they set that we could look at? And we've had few examples. And I do think that the staff has done a good job of bringing the study forward that they have. And the report was pretty well balanced. Given the task that was before you, which was to balance pickleball. I don't think anyone here has been asked to eliminate it by the city council. So the question is how to balance it. So I think the feedback that you'd get in 2 or 3 months of this option that we're looking at, or the two options you're looking at, would only be anecdotal. You still wouldn't have facts and standards to go by. So if you're going to limit the number of days, the number of courts, well, what days is it most popular? Which courts do people gravitate towards? That would be good to know. Oh, what are the cost of sound barriers? We really have to find that out, because that's the effective way to fix it.
Thank you, Paul. I need to ask you to. Thank you, sir.
Hello, my name is Nancy Hubby. I've talked to you before. And I was born and raised in Carmel. My family's been here for 100 years. And no, it wasn't just used for tennis. I used to collect banana slugs. I used to ride my bikes on the trail. I used to play tennis, and now I play pickleball. But most of all, I want to say thank you all. I know that Tom and Justin and Bob have worked really hard on this. It's cost the city money with their time and hours and such. And what I'm worried about most of all about this decision is that it could be the same thing as what happened to the beach fires. You spend a lot of money, time, your hours, the business, and then the person who brought up the complaint moves away. So where are we left? So what if the number one complainer here decides to leave, and then we all sit around with the naked courts with nobody using it? And that's my concern. So when you make your decision, I hope you keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
Hello, my name is Cynthia Douglas, and I recently moved here from Virginia. And there was also a sound complaint and challenge in a neighborhood where I played pickleball. The courts were called the Greencroft Club courts, and they did put up sound barriers. They did sound studies before and after those sound barriers were put up, and they were extremely successful and met the requirements for the neighbors to the point where there was no longer complaints. So I just wanted to throw it out there that there is definitely a cost issue when it comes to putting up sound barriers, but it can be a real solution and one that might satisfy all parties. Thanks.
May I ask you a question?
Sure.
I'm sorry, did you want to ask first, Sarah? Oh, thank you. Do you recall what the fencing was? What sort of a material was used, and if it was similar in the landscape of ours, just for curiosity's sake?
I don't, but I could find out for you if that's interesting.
Okay, you're welcome to email it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes, you're welcome.
Is there anybody else who'd like to speak?
Hi. Michael Lang. I live fairly close to the courts, but not close enough to hear the pickleball noise. I want to thank you all for taking the time. I know you have a very difficult decision in front of you. I wrote down some notes. I just wanted to make a few comments. One is that, it's hard to find a good solution here, but I would request that you perhaps consider an alternate location. I think along with the acoustical fencing, that may be the only win-win here. I don't know what other alternate locations there might be in the city of Carmel, but maybe during this interim period, that's something we can investigate. I would like to see more research go into the acoustical fencing. One question that I had, and I don't mean this in a bad way or anything, but I'm just asking, is that you know, it seems to me, I don't know what the city's obligation is in terms of noise, but it seems to me that it's only the homeowners on the west that are actually in the city. And so doesn't that mean we just need fencing on the west, which would be significantly less expensive? I don't know. I'm just asking. And again, I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm not trying to discriminate against other people. I'm just saying legally, what's the city's responsibility there? So the other thing I wanted to mention, I also wanted to apologize to the homeowners. This 25 people playing pickleball in the dark, that's not what we're about. You know, all I can say to that is that there's always bad apples. You get bad apples on the beach. Apparently you get bad apples on the pickleball court. Anyway, I emailed also a proposal to you. It was, I did a survey. Again, I'm trying to go based on data here. So I surveyed as quickly as I could because I only found out about this 3 days ago. The pickleball community, I got 55 people to respond in terms of when would they like to play or see play available in Carmel. And I emailed that to you. Did you guys get it?
Yes, we did.
Okay. So it was basically Saturday, Sunday, and Monday were the 3 highest bill getters. Wednesday was number 4 if you were to choose to allow 4 days. The other thing that I wanted to mention was that it recently came to my attention that, actually from Kelly, was that the clinic my wife and I run, or the drill session, or whatever you want to call it, we invite 12 people to come out and do drills with us on Sunday afternoons at 1 o'clock. That apparently is something that's a source of contention. We tried to pick that time because basically the courts are empty. It's on Sunday at 1 o'clock. People generally have better things to do on their weekend afternoons. So we picked that time. We limited it to 12 specifically so that we don't make too much noise. That capacity of those courts is 16, so we limited it to 12. Anyway, long story short, we're going to relocate somewhere else. So in terms of if I can hopefully encourage you to adopt play on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, consider the fact that we're going to remove all these people from the courts on Sunday.
Thank you, Mike. Is there anybody else in chambers that would like to make a public comment? Okay, Yvette, do we have some people online?
Yes. John, go ahead.
John?
Hi, this is John. Yeah, I'm one of the neighbors to the west of the pickleball courts, and I'm a strong advocate of option A and eliminating pickleball from those courts because pickleball just isn't a game that should be played in a residential neighborhood. So I have 2, primary concerns about pickleball in a residential neighborhood. Number one is the elephant in the room, and that's noise pollution. It is loud, and it's just pop, pop, pop all day long. And it's not just the decibel level, but it's the high pitch of the noise, whatever. So, and yes, play is heavier on weekends, but it's steady throughout the week. So there are some breaks, don't get me wrong. So, but there's steady play throughout the whole week. So, and I would say on behalf of the pickleball players, they're pretty good. They rarely play before 9 in the morning. So there are times where somebody's playing at 8 or whatever, but that's the exception rather than the norm. It doesn't start before 9. So I heard all this talk about 7, 7:30, and that's rare. So I mean, in their defense, most of them don't start till 9 o'clock. So. So again, the noise is a big issue. That's a major irritant. The second issue is the impact on our property values. There's been lots of studies that have shown that the impact on property values is decrease in property value of 10 to 20%, for those that are neighbored to the pickleball courts. And that's over $500,000 for most of us. So that's a big chunk of change. And that seems very, very unfair to the residents. And, we bought our house there 8 years ago. There was no pickleball, so it wasn't really a buyer beware issue. Yeah, it was a park, but it was a tennis court. It wasn't pickleball. Pickleball has really only been hot there probably the last 3 years. So I also wanted to say I'm not anti-pickleball. I mean, everything the players say about the benefits of the game, I fully agree. My wife and I actually play in the city where our other residence is located because we play in an indoor court. We don't play in Carmel because it's in a residential neighborhood, and pickleball should not be played in a residential neighborhood. But all of the comments made by the pickleball players about how great the game is, I agree. It just should not be played in a residential neighborhood, and I'm just anti-pickleball right across the street from my house. And if the players don't agree with that, then maybe they should all approach the neighbors and make us all an offer at fair market value for our residences and buy our residences. And then we'll go move somewhere where there's no pickleball. So, because we don't want to live next to a pickleball court. So that's the issue in my perspective. So, and there's a lot more players playing every day now because Pacific Grove and Monterey and others are putting in restrictions, so a lot of those players are now coming to Carmel to play as well. So again, it's just not a game that should be played in a residential neighborhood. I want to thank the commission and the staff for all the great work that they put into this and all the consideration they're given to this issue, and it's a very important issue to our neighborhood. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Martin, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. I'm Martin Kamsey. We live just a couple houses away from the tennis courts on Vista. And we bought our house in 1999, so we've lived there about 25 years. We are not full-time residents in Carmel. We've both had jobs in other towns, and we are in Carmel usually 5 or 6 days a week and usually around the weekends. We have told our friends, and they have experienced for almost all the 25 years that, you know, this is our peaceful place. This is where we come to get away from the rat race of life and our jobs. And so the change from a tennis ball court to pickleball court is really not fair to the people who live near there. I also agree with the benefits of pickleball. I know that it is a national rage, and it's going to be very easy for you to hear a lot more many voices on the pro side of pickleball than those of the neighbors who live there. We are a static number. But in terms of the park, we bought the house knowing the tennis court was there. It was a tennis court with 2 tennis courts. And for most of you who probably know Forest Hill Park, it winds down the street a couple blocks down Junipero. And at the bottom, there is a beautiful children's playground and a volleyball court and some other things in a very large area. Up at the top of the park, there's a tennis court. It was designed for tennis. I don't think pickleball had been invented more than 25 years ago when we bought our home. That part of the park, most people would look at it and not think, oh, this is a park. They would think this is a tennis court, because there's pretty much not a square inch on the outside of the tennis court, except for hiking trails going down the hill. My belief is that there have to be some restrictions, and that they have to be coordinated with other towns, coordinated with the other schedules, so that right now, I believe the impact is that people come to Carmel because we're the only one without restrictions. In reality, you know, this park was designed a long time ago, and that was designed for tennis. Tennis and pickleball are very different. I do not believe if the city was coming up with a pickleball court or a pickleball area that they would put it in this area. It's like jamming a square peg into a round hole. There isn't enough parking.
Okay,
the
Martin.
play is much
Martin.
noisier than tennis.
Martin, I'm sorry, Martin, your time is up. I'm going to need to ask you to wrap up, Martin.
Sorry. Yeah, well, just to wrap up, I believe the city should look at putting it in the much more expansive lower area of Forest Hill Park, because the tennis court is really not sitting in the right place for pickleball play. Nobody who is designing a pickleball court would say this is adequate. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Martin.
Anthony, go ahead.
Hello, this is Anthony speaking. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so first of all, I want to acknowledge that I want people to have fun. I like the sound of people having fun, getting together, having a good time out in the fresh air. I love all of that. However, if you choose to live next to a bar, you expect it to be noisy with music and revelers at all hours. If you live near an airport, you'd expect to hear planes landing and taking off. If you live next to tennis courts, you should expect to hear the gentle sound of rackets hitting balls back and forth along with a few cheers after somebody winning a set. You should not expect to hear the incessant sharp whack of paddles against pickleballs echoing through the canyon and through an otherwise quiet neighborhood. We have lived here since well before the pickleball craze became a thing. There used to be quite a few tennis players every day, in particular in the afternoons. Now that's a rarity because the courts aren't available. As everybody knows, the courts are split in half. Therefore, if one half of the court's available, it's not going to be for tennis, it's going to be for pickleball. So the poor tennis people don't get a chance to play. Cars regularly crowd the street. They park in the crosswalk, I've got pictures, and drive too fast when children are present. There is actually several different people who coach regularly. They give lessons to large groups. I'm concerned, quite frankly, that some people listening will be upset with me for speaking today. To those folks, those nice folks, I would ask what you would do if your once quiet street changed so dramatically. Again, I want people to have fun. I want to see the courts full. I love seeing people having a good time, but let's try the quiet ball maybe. I know many people who play, a lot of people who play on a first name basis. They're all very nice people, good neighbors. And a lot of the visitors too. But I ask you to hear my not unreasonable concerns. They focus primarily around noise and safety. At this point, additionally, other cities' restrictions are pushing even more people here to our little neighborhood. The problem is growing. It needs to be addressed in a reasonable fashion. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Anthony. Is there anybody else who would like to make a public comment before we pull it back to the commission?
Has anyone talked to junior high about being able to use to paint courts on, is it 3 or 4 tennis courts they have, but they're not used at all during the weekends. And the Carmel Junior High, they're on Carmel Valley Road.
I can comment on that a little bit.
What?
The answer is I don't know, but I can comment.
Can you speak into the microphone?
The short answer is I don't know, but I can make one comment. I was approached by the high school about maybe a year and a half ago. Apparently they wanted to start a pickleball club because they had students coming to one of the teachers saying, we want to start a pickleball club.
Yeah.
And he didn't know anything about it. He wanted to know if I could give him some guidance. So I said, sure, happy to meet with you. I never heard from him again. So I don't know what happened.
Maybe worth looking into
But,
as an additional thing, because it's out in the open and not any families around right close.
May I ask Deputy Chair
As of this moment.
Burley to officially close the public comment period?
What happened? Oh, she'll
be right back.
Okay, the public comment is over and we will discuss this here now.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Excuse me, I beg your pardon. I've been sick actually all week, but knew we only had 3 people here today, so made sure I was here.
So we have 12 minutes left of this meeting.
Okay, so, excuse me. So bring it back. I apologize, I missed the last couple of minutes.
Okay.
Is there anybody who would like to make a comment?
Yes. I think there's wonderful points on both sides. I'm personally not a pickleball player. I used to play tennis. C+ club player, not very good, but I had fun playing it. But in my mind, there's no question there has to be consideration for the homeowners that live there. The code really requires quiet enjoyment in the city of Carmel. They're not getting quiet enjoyment, and so I think the 2 minimum things we need to do is put some restrictions on time of day, which may or may not be a big issue, but particularly the days that they're allowed to play on the courts, and that the idea of the softball is going to have to be considered because I think that's probably the only solution to take the noise out. And still people will be able to recreate and have fun. But I think the person that came up and suggested, well, can you do one day with a real pickleball, or can you add a day with the tournament quality pickleball? And I think that's a good idea too. I think we just need to kind of figure out, I'm not for eliminating it right now. I think the so-called trial period that our hardworking department came up with is a good solution right now. But we just, we need to do something to regulate it, because the homeowners are not enjoying their, not just required, but by code, they should be able to have quiet enjoyment. So maybe it's so many days, maybe it's the soft library ball, and maybe allow some time for those people that are really competitive and want to be semi-pro pickleball players that love the social aspect of it but are killers. Maybe they can do that a few hours in a day that works for them. So I'm just throwing that out there.
My thinking at this point is, yeah, maybe one day with the, what do you call it, the softball would be okay. I mean, I do play pickleball, and I know that it's a different game, really. Could still be fun, it still could be social, but it wouldn't at all be the same. If we limit the days, I am very much, though, for having the days the same as Pacific Grove, because we're not trying to have it that the Pacific Grove people can come over on our open days and the Carmel people can go over to PG on their open days. That would be nice for the players, but it's not good. It's just one more thing that would add a lot more people to that area. So that's kind of where I am.
I agree with my two fellow commissioners. I think at this point we don't want to eliminate it entirely. I think we do want to carry on with our research and looking into other options for noise reduction. I do apologize, I've had a little bit of a cough all week. I think that reducing days and hours is probably our best option at this point for the next 2 or 3 months. I think what you both said, that sounds as though that's what you're thinking also. I think what Sarah was saying about we're not necessarily trying to give the option for the Pacific Grove folks to come here and vice versa. We need to just look at, in fact, when we did look, we looked at their schedule, we looked at the Monterey's schedule, and sort of trying to see what we could work best with in this city. We can enforce, but we don't have people that are on site, so we can't make sure that exact courts are being saved and that certain balls and rackets are being used. So I think that trying to mirror what Pacific Grove is doing is probably our best option at this point, with a Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday schedule. I believe that their hours are 9 to 5 at this point. I believe we do need to give hours as well. I certainly, during a trial period, would like to see that, we're all trying to work together. These neighbors are really not happy with the pickleball, so I think we need to try to understand that, do our best, use balls and rackets that are noise sensitive, try to keep voices down, try to watch parking, all of the courteous things that we would want for ourselves. And I'd like to see this work. And so I think that during this trial period, I think that's in my opinion our best way to go at this point. Do you have any thoughts on?
Well, I'm thinking the same thing, and of course we down the road might need to change it again once we've had more time. But this gives, if I picture living by that, I wouldn't be super enthused. On the other hand, it's too bad for everybody to not be able to play. You know, trying to find a balance is not easy.
Mm-hmm.
So if we, and I do think someone from the city can run by and see how you know, I mean, we have some ability
Enforcing
to
on
enforce
days.
it, yeah.
Yeah, for sure, and hours. Mm-hmm.
So, who
Yeah.
wants to make a motion? You want to make a motion, Judy?
I'm trying to figure out. I think alternating days with PG is probably not a good idea. It should be that we should have the same availability, so we're just not batting back and forth
Yeah.
with
We're really
too many
asking for more
too many
courts.
people trying to play on too few courts to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not ready to make a motion, but I recommend that we use those same days to determine what level should be there, rather than someone trading off because the other place is closed, because we have different circumstances than these other cities. So I move that we use the same day. We'll use one weekend day of a Saturday, but not a Sunday, and those two other days that it's allowed in PG. And
Tuesday, Thursday.
Tuesday and Thursday. We need to adopt the quiet ball in some form.
We need
And-
hours of 9 to 5.
May I?
Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt your motion.
No, I'm not making a motion. I'm trying. I'm not making a motion yet, I know.
You were close. Well, Madam Highness Chair, I'm going to miss that. Here's a suggestion to be helpful. You may want to do, you don't have to do all in one motion to set all the parameters here. You may, it sounds like you're on the cusp of perhaps looking at the days, the hours, and at an interim period. You may want to just do a motion just on that, well, yes, yea or nay, make a roll call, have a vote. Then there could be a secondary motion regarding the number of courts, the sound equipment, or anything else. So it doesn't have to be all in one, because there are multiple issues here.
Well, we don't have that other stuff, the sound, so.
Sound balls and rackets.
Yeah.
Right, but it sounds like.
Well, I mean, yeah, we could, I mean, do we want to say one day has to be with the puff balls? Or should we
You
just
could
say?
make it in one motion. I'm suggesting a way to make it
Two motions.
perhaps easier is to
Well,
have
let's
two
just, but
motions.
we.
While we're still having a
Wait.
conversation.
That's all right.
Okay.
We're close.
Yeah, we are.
I move that we adopt the same days, the Saturday and the Tuesday,
Tuesday, Thursday.
Thursday. The hours be from 9 to 5.
How many months?
That's a
At
temporary-
90 days from the date those signs go up,
Okay.
and have some type of ability to have our staff or any volunteers to keep accountable what we're trying to study, and keep everyone according to what we want to study as far as the time and the time periods and the 90-day period.
You got it?
Sort of.
Because I'll second it, I think that's okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
As I said, we own the nets and we feed from there. What if, I mean, every time I play there, we have out-of-towners. What if they come and start playing on a day when they're not supposed to, because they don't read the signs?
We'll talk later. Talk to Tom.
Okay.
Well, that's why I think we have to have, whether it's volunteers or part of the city staff,
Talk to Tom offline.
watching it, and we would it'd have to have signs, you know, the city.
Yeah, I'd
So
like
they
to say
make
one thing.
signs.
This will be enforced. So if a neighbor were to call in, or someone were to call in, there will be signs up, just like there are signs up now. There will be signs up that say, the game is on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday from 9 to 5 p.m. I'm sorry, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 9 to 5 p.m. And that will be on signs, and it will be enforced. So those things, yeah, those things will be enforced.
What days with the regular ball?
We aren't making any rulings on that at this point.
I think if you limit the days, you really shouldn't take away the ball.
At this point, that's difficult to enforce.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
But some might be willing to try it. The more you try it, the quieter it'll be. You don't like it, I know.
I know. That goes back to just the, spirit of what we're trying to do here with the neighbors. We're trying to make this work, and so in the spirit of that, hopefully when we're playing, if we can try to keep noise equipment, use that, parking, noise of yelling, just all the things to try to make this a workable situation. Do we need to do another motion? I think at this point it's just days and hours.
We need a second.
Okay.
Are you ready for a roll call?
I need a second first.
I seconded it.
Sarah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Commissioner Burling?
Yes.
Commissioner Mickey?
Yes.
Commissioner Jerry?
Yes.
Thank you. This motion has passed.
Did you want to do any other motions or not? Or are you done?
I don't think we need to do anything.
It's totally up to you.
No, I think we're good. I would just like to.
Phase one.
If you wanted to talk about the quiet balls, but you have a great motion, of course, try it, 3 months, 90 days, off you go.
I would like to ask, is anybody else going to do, are you going to do your, you have to leave in a minute.
Well,
don't you?
yeah,
You can stay for a
We
couple
could do,
minutes. Okay.
can you do Forester's report in 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Maybe we could do Forest report, Forest
Okay.
report,
Okay.
10 minutes.
Okay.
And Jerry, you're good?
Yeah, I'm
15.
fine. Oh, yeah.
And then we got everything except for the mission job.
Okay, good.
So what are we doing?
We're just going to do
The monthly reports, real
the
quick.
monthly reports really quickly. I would just like to ask one thing while we're still here in chambers. Is it possible to get some sort of signage up as soon as possible, even if it's something that we have made and we can laminate, just because to start this as soon as possible, I think would be a good gesture for all, if that's possible.
Tell Jesse to hurry.
We will do as fast as possible.
Even like a laminated, just something we could.
We'll see what we can mock up. The streets.
It may not be long, but of course, we don't want a
In
permanent
the
one
interim.
yet, because we're not.
We'll also want to run it
sure
by
that's how it'll
PD
leave
to make
it.
sure that it's something that they can enforce.
But you did
clearly.
offer to come back and go on days and look and make sure they're doing it right, didn't you, Bob?
Once it's posted, we can enforce, and if there are complaints,
13 more
we can call
days
the
this year.
police, or we'll go out or
Well,
something.
on your retirement, I would think you'd.
Oh, me? No, I might cause a ruckus. I'm not gonna. But
They'll be out
no.
there playing.
So you want to call the Foresters report?
Yes. So moving on, we're going to move to Justin with our forestry report.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. So, some of the highlights from the last month, November, we started the a review of qualifications for CEQA analysis consultants for the Carmel Forest Master Plan. And I know it's not last month, but we had 2 of those interviews already this week, and it's been going really smoothly, and we're getting a lot of information that we can move forward to get this on the right track to get where we need to be. Our landscape maintenance contractor, Town & Country, they started working on the scenic pathway, taking over work that the Carmel Cares contractor had been doing. And also they're still doing all their normal task orders, and we're getting new task orders to do tree watering and do some other work on the scenic pathway outside of just the regular maintenance. Taupe was issued a task order for 40 trees, and they started already. I don't know if you've seen them out doing some big dead trees, dangerous trees. And then West Coast Arborists and Community Tree Service will be getting new ones very early in the year. The city crew planted 6 new trees, pruned 32 trees, and removed 8 dead trees and 6 stumps. They continued working down at the North Dunes to prune that overgrown acacia shrub, and that's going to be ongoing. They're going to keep doing it, and probably going to hit the viewing platform next at Del Mar. There's been complaints about that.
Let me ask you about that, though. I didn't realize there were any acacia in that section.
Oh, the whole thing, all on the very toe or the shoulder of the slope is that bright green shrub is all acacia.
So that's what is relatively new. That wasn't there in the old days. I have a letter from somebody who's complaining about seeing some of them. I mean, the letter is from 27 years ago when it first was. We really that's not native to that area.
No, it's native to Australia.
It's what?
Native to Australia or somewhere down there.
So let's get rid of it. The whole idea of that northeast of the north area was to have it natural. And the whole process, I mean, a lot of money's been spent taking out all sorts of stuff. The acacia should go.
Well, there's a master plan for that area and a biological assessment. It's just the reason we're, I don't want to speak on behalf of Mary or the other consultants, but a lot of the reason is to keep the slope in place because the roots of that shrub, the leaves not only dissipate the water coming from the rain, but also the roots hold that intact. And we don't want to.
I wonder how it did it before the acacia was there.
Probably some other kind of plant, because it is very aggressive and invasive. And also I don't know if you've been trying to get out of town recently, in preparation for the San Antonio landscape pathway renovation, the one that fell over in the storms a couple years ago. Our crews pruned the trees for the construction crew to get in there.
But that doesn't include new trees, does it?
No, okay. Just pruning. And then me and Val from Environmental attended an assembly at the Stevenson Lower School about them joining a program to help clean Forest Hill Park up of trash and stuff, and that was really exciting.
That's great.
So in 2020, in November, Forestry took in 24 tree permits, issued 22 tree permits, and I performed 8 site inspections. 12 trees were approved for pruning, 16 trees were approved for removal, while 16 trees were upper canopy trees were required to be replanted, and 18 lower canopy trees. The forestry staff also took in 140 new tickets in our ticketing software, Freshdesk, and closed out 156. So we're on the upswing and in the positive on that. We had a good month.
Justin, could you quickly mention that there's a mid-year budget adjustment coming mid-year, and there's something for potential for forestry. You want to tell us what that is?
Yes.
I think it's for the scenic pathway landscaping.
Yes. So because we now are taking on the scenic pathway maintenance, we will have to adjust the budget to get that money to our contractor instead of what was provided by Carmel Cares.
Those dead cypress trees that are laying on their side at 13th, on the beach side, ever going to be taken down?
I don't know right now. I'll have to get back to you on that one.
They've been there for 2 years, looking very ugly.
I'll take a look at them.
They're the ones that, you don't see them. They're not up. They're laying
It's up at 13th?
They're partway down the cliff.
It's up at 13th?
At 13th.
Yes? Yeah. We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yes. And then in terms of the catch-up plan, 3-year catch-up plan, I'll put this in the actual forest report next time so we can bring up the graphs, which again I didn't do because we have limited time. Last month there was 190 dead trees that were counted. We're down now to 184. And really, as going through the data this morning, the hard part is not only just the dead trees and very poor trees that we are removing and updating, is that most of the trees that we ended up removing that were dead were in the fair condition when this was taken 2 years ago. So the updating the tree inventory is really a monumental task, and it's almost like a full-time job to keep this updated with all the stuff we do. But that's why we've got a really talented staff, and hopefully more staff coming. with the empty positions being filled. Bob, or any questions?
Oh, we have to open it up for public comments.
Okay. Is there anybody online? There's nobody in the chambers. Anybody online? No? Okay.
No.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Ready to move to you, Bob?
You can close the public comments.
We're going to close public comment.
Sarah did it last time.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah.
All right, I'll do the Public Works Director's report for November 2024. I'll be as fast as possible. City Council actions related to forestry, parks, and beach. At the December 3rd council meeting, COD, the Carmel Area Wastewater District, and others made a presentation, which was very interesting. They call it, the program is the Bridge to Everywhere, and it's basically it's a long-term program to tie in trails like at 10 different locations. It would include the trails in Mist Trail Nature Preserve and what is now Rio Park, which is not really any trails in there today. It would tie in Palo Corona, possibly the Point Lobos trail system, and reconstruct the bridge over the Carmel River. So it's just like one project that would tie in regionally trails, and it requires state, county, city, land, et cetera, big sort of land trust. So really interesting long-term project, and they were seeking council like preliminary to support the project, which they strongly did. In terms of capital projects, for the Mission Trail Nature Preserve, 3 drainage projects. Again, appreciate that the commission was out there with the council a month ago to do the tour. We Val submitted a request for a reimbursement of $177,000 from the California State Parks. We expect that pretty soon. We submitted a letter to the Army Corps of Engineers to start to close out the first of 3 regulatory permits, which took like 2 years to acquire. And the contractor's completely done. We're going to be doing some additional, I think 10 little additional plantings, according to Nikki, wanted to do additional plantings. So that's minor stuff that we'll be doing ourselves. But the contractor's done, and
I think
up the construction.
Renee did that this morning.
We did already?
Yeah.
About time. Okay. And is there another one?
Have you presented to the city council already what you presented?
Yeah, yes, the same one. Less jokes.
And you did it already?
I did it last week.
Okay.
Yeah, a little less jokes. And I threw in a little bit more on forestry today for the particular audience. But it was the same idea, and this time we had our public works staff, most of them here today. The professional services agreement with a firm, I can announce the firm, Moffitt & Nickel. The fee is going to be about $400,000. They've been selected. It goes to council in February the latest, and they'll do several things. They'll design the repair of the 4th Avenue outfall wall, complete reconstruction, which is one of the seawalls. To design, it might be fixed ahead of time, but the 2 structural wooden stairs that are messed up. Mm-hmm. So they're going to design those, unless it's done ahead of time. They're also going to, if you remember the condition assessment that Harif and Sunish did about 1.5 years ago, they did a preliminary assessment of all the seawalls, all the revetments, all the stairs on the beach. And this firm's going to drill down the next level, begin the environmental permitting process with the California Coastal Commission and a number of other agencies. So actually begin
are we paying them, or was this?
This is all city funds.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's finally coming to fruition. It took a little while.
It's important.
Yeah, it's very important. It took a little longer than we thought, but we're at the cusp of going forward in the design. And they'll be presented to you along the way, several months down the road. Let's see, we got climate action stuff, the coastal engineering study, phase 2. If you recall last month, Mary and the consultants presented the sea level rise community survey as a draft. We took the comments to heart. I think the comments have been incorporated. Weren't quite ready to present that here. Plus, we wanted a full commission, so we'll wait till hopefully next month, or probably to get that. And it was going to be launched like during the holidays, and apparently we're going to have it, once it is launched, it's going to stay open. We'll have interim check-ins or something, but it'll stay open for a long period of time. Is that right, Mary? Something like that? Close enough? Okay. Almost done. Volunteers, I see Cindy Lloyd is on the phone, who thinks Public Works is the best department, and she's right.
She's not, she doesn't have her,
She's still there.
yeah, but she doesn't have her thing up.
I wanted to give a shout out to Cindy.
She's got her hand.
All right.
Cindy,
She's listening.
You heard us, Cindy.
She's a diehard.
She's listening.
One of the volunteers was Cindy Lloyd, who once again improved the flowers and plantings in the World War I Memorial Arch, located in Ocean, St. Carlos.
You don't have to keep
Right before, for the Veterans Day holiday, even though that event was canceled because of rain. But Cindy Lloyd, she's always maintained that that arch with great care and passion. I'm almost done, Cindy. It'll be your turn. And then a couple of miscellaneous. Public Works Director position has been just posted. So if anyone wants to apply, Tamara?
I'll think about it.
Okay. If you do in the next 7 days, I could put in a word.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I could say,
Thank
hey,
you.
Chip, here you got one.
Here's your opportunity. Lifetime.
Right, had a little setback on a maintenance worker. We were very close for the maintenance worker to fill the vacancy in forestry. That did not. Yeah, we were so close. The HR pulled the plug, rightfully so. So we have 44 applications for maintenance workers. What? So now we're gonna go through the whole process.
Can they
We
climb
expect
trees?
we have 2 vacancies today, and we expect up to 4 by July. So that list will be used to fill several positions over the next several months.
Very good.
I think I mentioned this very briefly in my presentation, but we met with Leadership Carmel, Mary and I, and they had a number of ideas for pretty interesting ideas. I don't know if I'll mention it. I'll mention some. Or is that too premature? No? No.
Yeah.
No. Okay, too premature. But one's a cool one. No. See that? So what I get? My helper.
She says, how soon are you leaving, Bob?
No.
Other miscellaneous facility maintenance and streets helped out with the removed Halloween decorations, put in the white lights along Ocean Avenue, helped out with the tree lighting event last week. That was last week.
I wonder if there's still that, as you come down the hill towards the bottom of the tree, there's no lights.
They run out.
I don't know. Did you do them, Tom?
Yeah, Tom.
I mean, really, and that's the kind of the most important view of the tree is as you're coming down the hill.
Okay, I'm stretch at the Rio Park site in preparation for that walkthrough with Todd and a number of officials. Sam Laird? Sam Farr. Sam Farr was there.
Orange too.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
But that wasn't Rio Park. That wasn't the forest.
It was Rio Park. They toured Rio's Park as part of that Bridge to Everywhere, the trail network project. So anyway, Public Works, we removed the old bollards, we discarded pipe. We sold those old metal beach cauldrons that we used to use for the fire pits out there. We sold those. We made repairs to the wooden boardwalk along 4th Avenue, the pathway down to the beach, access stairs. Last but not least, in November, we had a couple of minor storms. 0 flooding was reported. A few tree limbs, nothing much.
Yeah, a few tree limbs, one small full tree, and a truck hit a tree, but nothing really, just like a day and a half.
Let me ask a question. Can there be motorized things in Mission Trail? Like motorized bikes?
Like e-bikes.
Huh?
Like an e-bike.
Yeah.
That is a topic that we've actually pushed it.
My dog almost got hit by one. This guy could have cared less, whether we were in the way or
That
not.
is a concern. That's noticed. Mary will present that next month, January.
Good.
Okay. So it's on our agenda next month.
TAMSI, Tom Muck was just here. He's the executive director of TAMSI. So they're sending somebody to talk more about what we can and cannot control with e-bikes. We're putting in, remember the signs that went to Forest Beach
We need signs, yeah.
earlier this year, I believe, the V signs. Those are mostly installed. They're still a work in progress. We're redoing the maps that better designate, bikes here only on the main trails.
Not on the main trail.
They go everywhere today.
Regular bikes.
We're trying to make the signage more clear. Then it's down to enforcement, and enforcement's very, very tough.
Hopefully no mechanical bikes?
There's laws.
First of all, they're noisy. And secondly, they don't care about, people, we walk with everyone's dogs are wandering around and stuff.
Right. I'm not here to say that the bikes are not being misused, but I'm saying there's state laws what e-bikes are allowed on certain locations, which we'll get more information next month.
You saying mechanical like a dirt bike?
What?
Is it a dirt
E-bikes. I
bike?
think she's heard e-bikes. You're referring to e-bikes, correct?
Electric.
Well, yeah, mechanical bikes.
Well, there's mechanical and there's e-bikes. The mechanical are the
Yeah, pedal. That's pedal.
pedal.
Oh,
The
no,
ones
no,
you push the
pedal
button
fine.
and-
Anyone can
Okay,
do.
good.
But so noisy bikes, does that help?
Right, noisy bikes are the e-bikes.
Bikes.
But both regular bicycles, the old paddle kind, and the
Yeah,
e-bikes,
regular bicycles are fine.
they're only allowed on certain trails in the
Right,
park.
right.
Today, we know, not news, there's some e-bikes on any possible trail they could find, bicycles on any possible trail. We cannot enforce it. We don't have officers all day long on every trail to enforce it. So we have an enforcement problem. What we're trying to do, and we'll explain that next month, what the rules, what the law allows and doesn't allow, how we're improving signage, and get a direction and counsel from the commission as to what we can do moving forward. It's not an easy solution.
Those trails, yeah. There used to be a group that did it a lot.
Right.
Carmel-by.
Okay.
Okay,
He's
we
going to
better
turn into a
quit.
pumpkin.
Jerry already left.
Yeah, we have
Get going.
one person for public comment online.
That's all I have. Oh, public comments.
Cindy.
Okay.
Cindy.
Cindy, thank
Cindy,
you.
go ahead.
You're fine.
Thank you very much. My name is Cindy Lloyd, and I apologize for not appearing in person. However, I am a little bit under the weather. But, Bob, congratulations for the detailed report with a blueprint for your successor whenever that person is hired. It certainly does give somebody excellent starting ideas. During your tenure in Carmel, you can certainly take credit for returning Carmel Beach to its pristine white sand, and the elimination of bonfires on the beach and the fire pits certainly has contributed to that. There was a comment amongst the evening tonight about the person who spearheaded that moving away. She certainly did keep the momentum going, and I was an ardent supporter, as were a number of us. But the reason that she moved was for health reasons and family reasons. So I just wanted to correct that so that people didn't think that she just decided to up sticks and move. She did not want to move, but her health was more important. I'd like to give a shout out to Michael LePage, who has been an unstinting advocate and worker on the arch. He spent 8 hours, and I spent it with him, drilling access holes underneath the base of the arch into which he could put PVC piping so that electrical wiring and irrigation wiring could be added. It's an absolute boon to me to finally have irrigation in there, and it's being monitored by Alan Wheat, and I'm transitioning whatever plantings in there from exotics, which means non-natives, to more natives. I took out some of the Shasta daisies a couple of days ago, and I've been propagating them in case anybody wants some. I have 37 of them growing now. But at any rate, I would like it to reflect the native plantings in the rest of the medians. And just one other thing. I want to say one of the reasons that I absolutely love the Department of Public Works, and it is my favorite department, is because each time I request Public Works to do any favor for me, and that includes removing huge piles of prunings on whatever I'm doing, either in Mission Trail or in the what we call the Golden Triangle, which is formed by the intersection of Camino del Monte, Santa Fe, and Pico. They get rewarded with boxes of donuts from Red's Donuts. So anyway, Bob, congratulations on your retirement. I hope you have a wonderful time in your new home and location in Reno. I will miss you and your laugh and your smile and your positive attitude. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you, Cindy. Is this a wrap?
Yep.
Meeting adjourned.
All right.